Let's go live now. It's trying to surprise you. And are we live, people? Not yet, and we're probably live now, right? Yeah, we are. So, hello, people. If I refer live, I'm not sure. Why do I do this to myself? Okay. Hello, people. Okay. Basically, hello, guys. I'm not going to stall any longer. So yeah, we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Chima, guys. And everyone's already saying hello, Bethany. Ooh, well, actually, to be totally specific, totally correct, Chima only premiered like on the 16th, so we're probably like a few hours short, but you know, then it's Monday and you know, we can't, not everyone can make it then, so yeah. By the way, guys, if you don't know Bethany Brown, she is the one and only voice actress of Ares. She's probably like the most like beloved character in the franchise. We think it's Lavelle, but no. In my experience, it's Ares. So let's go, Ares.
It's absolutely Ares, yeah.
You did a great job voicing her.
Thank you so much. I loved her so much. Like, it was interesting because when they described the character, it was kind of like Hermione from Harry Potter. And I loved Hermione, so it was such a fun experience to kind of take that as the base idea of a female character who is super intelligent, super smart, but also super courageous. So yeah, it was a very exciting character to play. Exciting world to build.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, the world is insane. By the way, shall we do a like a sort of a roll call of the chat?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Let's say hi to everybody.
Do you want to do it? I don't know if you have the chat in front of you, but you can try.
Do I have a chat in front of me? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, you can just go to YouTube for my channel, but in the meantime, I will do it, I guess. So hello, Vanguard GP, Lego Rono fan, Just Barney, Level, interesting name, Edward Ulmanis, and for Chima, indeed, Edward Elmanis, and Rumble Eyes. Hello, welcome here. Glad to see you again. And
welcome.
Oh, yep. Do you have the chat, by the way? Oh, not really.
No, I can't see anybody else, but
No problem.
any other names.
You know what? I can also. No, that's stupid. Don't mind me. Forget what I just said. Okay. Venom 195. Hello. Bell Hill Mayor, Swiss Marvin, and Nova. Greetings to y'all. So yeah, it's the 10th anniversary, guys. I feel old. Don't we all? It's been 10 years. And LEGO Chima has not made it in this decade. But there can always be a change. Who knows? So, you know, Bethany hasn't told me anything, and if she told me anything, I wouldn't be allowed to tell you. So, who knows? Let's leave them in the dark. They'll never see it coming. Well, if there's anything coming, of course. So, yeah, I'm not trying to teach you guys. I feel bad now. Okay. So, yeah. Guys, what do you guys want to ask her? Because this stream is to honor Chima's 10th anniversary and just the fans. And so, the previous stream I asked a little bit too much questions that I made myself. So you guys can just ask them in the chats and I will say them. Yeah. So that's great. So yeah, Closey McMahon says, Chima is absolutely god tier. Why was it created to contend against Ninjago? Well, it wasn't trying to contend, it was more like trying to... Ninjago was more like with the snakes, more like a experiment. How long is the stream gonna be? Probably like until...
Can I answer that question too?
Sure.
Because in my understanding, and I could be wrong, they had thought, because usually shows kind of go for kind of 3 seasons, maybe 6 seasons, and then they roll it over and do a new show. So I think they had thought Ninjago might be coming to an end when Chima was coming up. And then Ninjago just kept getting more and more popular. So that was one of the, it was not meant to compete at all. It was like, it was literally meant to like dovetail. And then it was like, oh, cool, well, Ninjago's still here. So yeah. Nothing was bad. It's all like complimentary.
Yeah, they weren't really contenders, right? Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't really be that wouldn't make any sense at all because, I mean, they're both from the same company, so why contend with yourself?
Yeah.
It costs money.
Yeah, no, it wasn't meant to be competitive. It was just like a whole new world, and how they would normally create a new show with new toys and like, you know, kind of a whole new line. But it was just actually surprising that Ninjago just continued to get more and more popular.
Yeah. Lion says, or asks, what's your favorite interaction of arrows in LEGO Dimensions? I don't know if you actually know any, but do you know any?
My favorite what? It was
interaction with with Ares in LEGO Dimensions, because Ares was in there. I don't know if you know the game.
Oh, in LEGO Dimensions?
Yeah.
What's LEGO Dimensions?
Well, chat, show each other. It's basically a game and with all kinds of LEGO themes and just films and the characters of them in LEGO form, and you can basically buy like toys to life from them, and you can place them on like a portal and they'll appear on your screen, and you can play with them. You can play in the worlds of those, you know, corresponding characters, and it's pretty awesome. There also was a Chima world with Ares Prayer and Vel. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's amazing, because, you know, obviously I think Ares and Laval had such a cute relationship, but I really, really did like, you know, when Krager started to come around to like the good side, and
Yeah.
I liked some of those interactions too, because those are just more complex. But I would love to see this world, the dimensions. That is amazing. Is that all you guys that get to bring your characters to life?
How do you mean exactly? Like
Like
basically.
in LEGO Dimensions?
Yeah, you get in LEGO Dimensions you can basically buy like characters. They have like a chip in them, and the computer will read it, and then you can get them. Basically like Skylanders. Do you know Skylanders, right? Do you know Skylanders?
Skyliners?
Yeah. Do you know that?
Oh, very cool. I don't think I do.
Yeah, basically.
This sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's basically your character, and you can place it on like a toy pad, and then your computer will read it. And yeah, if you want, we can you know make a stream or something, or a video where you can play it with other voice actors. That would be cool.
Yeah, you guys need to show it to me. That would be really fun.
You can even play it for yourself.
Ooh.
I have my means. I have a very totally not ripped from a game version of the game for myself on the computer, so you guys can play it without needing to buy like a Wii. So I can pass you the files, and that will be awesome. And guys, don't get your hopes up. I won't pass it to anyone else because YouTube won't allow it. I learned my lesson. So, okay, do you have a favorite villain of the series? If it's Crueler, anyone besides her. Says 5 or 7.
Oh, really? Anyone besides Crueler? Anyone? Okay, fine. Ooh, any villain of the series? There were some cool villains that came later, but like from the ice and stuff, you know, like. But I think. Oh, I don't want to say it, but I will say it, because I think Krager was my favorite villain, because I don't even know if he was actually a villain.
He was like,
or if he was just, you know, if he was so manipulated and confused into being a villain. So I thought that was a really cute kind of approach for a villain. It's like just born into like a villainous family or villainous circumstances, and therefore is a villain. I thought that was pretty cute. What other villain?
There was like Scum, and there was like Safanga.
Yeah, but was because I felt like some of the Ravens were kind of villainous, but maybe not like full villain.
Yeah,
vibes.
I don't remember the term for them.
What do you mean?
Like the term of like a not really a villain, but also hey, it's cats. Amazing, cats are the best.
Yeah. This is Willis, right, buddy? You want to say hi to
hello,
everybody?
Willis.
Show your
I
face.
also have a cat. I wish I could show
Hi.
it. Oh, a cat cam. I'm sure nobody minds. There you go.
Here you go. As he takes over the call.
Yeah, it will be all about the cat now. Screw Chima, we don't care, we want cat. Okay, basically, Ben's Kovacs asks, are you a furry?
Am I a furry?
That's
Because of
someone
this
asked it. I don't know.
I'm
question
not.
yesterday.
I'm not a furry like, in my spare time. Even though I'm not against any of those, I'm not against anything, and I do wear a lot of furry clothing, so that would be a very. I get why you're asking, but yeah, it's not my
I'm
hobby
asking,
at this
listen.
point.
Yeah, I understand. Like, to be honest, Chima fans actually get this question like relatively a lot. Because,
Yeah?
yeah, like some people say that Chima's like the furry theme of Lego, and I kind of get
Oh,
it,
that's
but
really cute.
yeah, yeah.
It's really interesting because I actually have a character named Bunny, and she like is a rapper, and she wears a full furry costume, and it's like a bunny costume. So it's just interesting that you guys asked because I'm like, I do have like an alter ego who's like a rapper in kind of house music, named Bunny Legit, and she's a furry, but it's like, yeah. So that's a complicated question. I don't know how to answer that one.
Well, then there are two interesting questions, or rather one. Lego Royal Fan 26 asks, Beth, if Chima comes back, what villains do you want to see, or rather, what kind of villains? Because that's
I want to definitely see a lot more of Crueler because I wasn't allowed to talk about her before. So more Crueler because she was very fun. And I really liked. I don't know. I really liked the.
There's what kind of animal?
Well, like the saber-toothed tigers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Sir
that
Fango.
came out of the. Yeah, I really loved all that, but I'm trying to think of something new because I feel like if Chima came back, we would need to approach like new villains. And I'm wondering if, I don't know, maybe this is too weird, but like it would become like us versus like AI, because we use.
Interesting turn.
You know what I mean? Because like especially like at Eagles, we used a lot of, there was a lot of like robotic ways of dealing. And then what if those robots then kind of like came to life when it was us versus like, what we thought was our robot fighting devices.
Yeah. But guys, if you saw something join the call, that was actually Jeff, and that's the voice actor of Razor. So we're also going to get to him.
Yeah, let's get Jeff Todd in here.
Oh, should we join him? Join our call?
Well, I'm down to join everybody, but if we want to just keep it us and Willis, that's cool.
Sure. Let's join them. I'm not against it. Let's do that. So guys, wait. I just need to mute someone in chats. Put these on timeouts. But yeah, let's join them. Oh,
telling us to stay the hell out of there.
hello.
Hey. Oh,
Hello.
We're here because Bethany wants to see you guys.
Oh,
Hey,
great. Yes. Hi.
Hi guys.
how's it going?
Here.
I can hear you.
By the way,
See me?
Now
you
I
can
can
see
see
now.
you. Oh,
Great.
look at that kitty.
Willis decided to join us.
Love it. Love it.
guys, first things first, we have an important question, and that is someone asks, what is the cat's name? Because we all need to know that.
Willis.
It's Willis. Well, guys, we answered that riddle. The
And it's because
important
he
question.
talks a lot. So it's just like, what you talking about, Willis? Thank
Nice.
you.
Love it. Love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Shall we also introduce our two new guests? Because I don't know if everyone know who they are. I don't know if they want to introduce themselves. Just go ahead.
I'm David. David
David
Attar.
Attar.
That's me. I play Kragger and Rogon and several others. And happy to be here. 10th anniversary. My, how time flies.
Yeah. I also said that I feel old.
Oh.
Yeah.
Join the club.
I refuse. No. And welcome,
Hello.
Jeff Todd.
I am Jeff Evans Todd. I'm 5'10" from Vancouver.
6'2". Stop lying.
Yeah. I play Razor, Vladvik, Crawley, and a bunch of others as well.
Yeah, those are awesome. We also
Jeff, can I ask? Do you think Razor was a bad guy or like a villain or no?
No, I think he's just an like a misguided opportunist.
Yeah, but then would Eris think that maybe he was a villain, but like not full villain status?
Yeah, I think Eris could see Razor as a villain.
Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, it's all perspective. Because I was like, you were one of my favorite villains, but it's also, I was like, I don't even think he was really a villain. And then I also said Krager, but I didn't think Krager was actually a villain either, because I think he was just born into a villainous family, and then just did villainous things. But you know what I mean? But then learned the error and made other friends. He did what he knew. He was under the influence of his sister.
That's right.
Anyway, thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Important questions.
10 years later, we gotta hash all this out, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
The good
Someone
guy,
said
bad guy, you know. Yeah.
Someone said the term. It's a deuter agonist, or I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've heard it before, and it's basically like that, something like that. So basically.
oh, it's not protagonist and antagonist. It's like a middle something.
Deuter agonist or something. Yeah, something like that.
Deuteragonist.
Yeah. It's
Interesting. Like a
interesting.
dude.
Then we have
Just
another
a
question.
solid dude.
We have another question from someone, and I actually asked this question before, but in another stream. But have you guys owned any LEGO Chima sets?
Yeah, they gave us some.
Yeah.
They gave us our characters.
Like only your characters
They
are also
didn't give
sets.
everybody the characters.
Oh.
Oh no!
So
I'm sorry,
sad.
Jeff John. It's because you played too many.
That's right.
Oh,
Fair
what-
enough.
Yeah.
Someone did buy me and put together a nice like set of all the different characters, and I hate to say it, but I don't know where it is.
Oh,
I know.
you've moved
and
a
every
couple
now
times
and then I go
though.
on Facebook Marketplace. I like search for someone who's selling Chima, you know, Legos, and there's a few, but I just never end up pulling the trigger. But I should, because I got some Legos back here,
Yo.
Muppet Legos,
Oh, nice.
and
Interesting.
you know, because I'm kind of in like a music room, so like I like the Muppets, and I think some of my characters belong over there.
That's
It's
cool.
time.
Someone
Yeah,
asked.
it's time.
Yeah. Someone asks if I can say his name. Let's try. Buyuk Ustatalu. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Sorry, I butchered it probably. But yeah.
I think you did great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Then, someone asks, do you guys know how the heroes came down from Mount Kavora in like the last episodes? I don't know if you guys remember, but have they ever told you that? No?
Not that I know.
Do you
Maybe
guys
that's a
seem to-
question for the next.
Yeah, that's probably a question
Yeah.
for the next ones. And that's,
I agree.
that's
We actually didn't know what we looked like until we started shooting like the last couple recording the last couple episodes of the first season. We had no idea what we looked like, and even that was just like sketches. So, as actors, words on a page bring it to life, but we're often not brought into the fold. of,
Yeah.
As actors, they tell us nothing because we talk a lot. And we will tell everybody everything by accident. Not because we want to, but because we're storytellers and we get into the story and the excitement, and then it flies out of our faces. So they just keep us in the dark.
We get ourselves into trouble, and so we just
Blessing and a curse.
Yeah, like let's not give them any information so they can't get into trouble.
exactly.
So they can't accidentally tell all the fans.
Then we have Super Mario fan asking, what was your favorite Chima episode? I don't know if you remember specific episodes, but what's your favorite one?
I know.
Go back.
My
Always.
Which one?
Yeah, he's
Dom
interesting.
DeLuise.
No, Dom DeLuise, yeah, that
But
was
I
a
got
good
to
one.
play Dom DeLuise. That was a ton of fun. DeLuise, he wins.
That's a nice. I think he was like in 2 or 3 episodes. I actually was in like the season 3. I don't know if you remember that.
He like made little one-line appearances
Yeah.
here and there, but they were sporadic. We were all kind of like hoping for more of him. I mean, at least I was. But I remember that was just such a fun. I think there was definitely a couple takes that were to be deleted because of laughter.
Yeah, because we all used to record in studio together, and
Yeah.
so like if somebody was, well, everyone was super funny.
Huh.
We would all be like stifling, trying not to laugh, but then that person would go harder knowing that like they had us. And so yeah, we ruined takes because we burst out laughing. So that's what David's talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was in the
okay.
right stand right
Part of it.
side.
You know you're in the zone.
So I ruined a lot of his takes. That's what
Yes,
he's
you're
actually
always
saying.
right to my right. It was great.
I mean, takes are bound to get, you know, like stupid because someone's laughing. Right? Nothing, no shame in that. It's normal. But yeah. Someone asks, does anyone have a least favorite tribe? It's a bit of a negative question, but do you guys have any? Like, I think my least favorite tribe would probably be like, just the bats, and not because they're a bad tribe. They're just, you know, an interesting tribe just like the other tribes, but you know, they can talk and they're like the least fleshed out tribe of all. Maybe the vultures are the least fleshed out tribe, but they're, you know, they're pretty high up there. So,
Yeah, I would
I
say
can agree
there's
with
not
that.
really there's not really like least favorite tribes I have, but there's certainly tribes I'd like to see more of. You know,
Like the
and
bears.
The bears, yeah, big time.
You
the
were
bears.
so fun. With all like, because the bears would just fall asleep, and like every time, like exactly, and like you would say this funny stuff as you were falling, and it was
Right.
so funny. Yeah. So I want to see more of the bears. I think my favorite episode to act in was, I don't know if you guys remember when Eris thought that she might be going crazy, and she was just turning right into like the fire version of herself, like.
Right.
And so I thought that was really interesting to explore. And that she felt so isolated and alone with kind of what she was experiencing. And that was kind of the first time in the whole show that because she was so like integrated with her friends, that she kind of had that experience. So I thought that was pretty special.
That's inderdaad, that's Dutch, sorry. But that's indeed pretty interesting. Like Fire Chi, if you really, you know, compare it to the other cheese, it's just a more condensed version of, you know, or more concentrated / powerful version of the normal chi. So is the golden chi, by the way. So yeah. And actually later I discovered that it was confirmed. Like the chi, like golden chi is just a more concentrated version of the blue chi, like the normal chi. Interesting. What do you have there, Bethany?
Over here holding some golden chi in my hand.
Oh. Wow, it was grapes all along.
Yeah, no, it's a citrus.
No drugs here.
Oh, nice.
Only
Wow,
grapes.
okay, don't eat that like a grape, please.
Oh, what is
Yeah,
that?
no, I don't go down so easy, but
Yeah, none of us were. The blue chi, and if I'm not mistaken, Breaking Bad was a big show at the time.
I'm not,
right.
It's not remiss on us.
I'm not sure. I don't know anything about Breaking Bad. Otherwise, it has like
good.
crystal
yeah,
meth.
yeah, no. We were a little bit older than the age group that I was going towards. We were like, huh, Breaking Bad. Blue chi. Okay.
Right, an interesting. Well, I'm thinking not, but Leo Clipstars asks if Legends of Chima will come back. What kind of plot will you make for the Time of Heroes movie? Well, of course, you guys won't make the plot, and the plot is written by Tommy Andreasen, someone that will appear later in this stream. But I don't think you guys have even voiced anything for that, or did you? Like a movie, Time of Heroes?
what was the thing that you were saying? What show is it, or what?
Time of Heroes. Yeah, it's a movie.
Time of Heroes. Oh yeah. No, I didn't voice anything for Time of Heroes. And actors would love to make the plots because we make it all about our characters, and we would give our characters a full backstory. And right, so it's like this episode's going to be all about Razor's childhood. Yeah.
I would actually love to see a Razor
at the
childhood
hero.
episode.
Right? You're like, wait, now that would be good. That would be solid.
That would indeed be cool. Then we have someone that asks, what do you guys think of like the vampire season 4 that Tommy made? I don't know if you actually know anything about that season, but basically Tommy Andreasen and other creators made like a sketch of like a season 4, like some early things, and those were basically like vampires, like vampiric tribes. What do you guys think of that? Like, I know you guys probably weren't involved, but what do you think of that?
So like, certain members of tribes became vampires.
Or
Yeah,
there was a
the
separate vampire
infected
tribe.
she. I think that was something like that.
Ooh.
Cool.
I
So,
think that's
so the heroes had a kind of.
because-
Yeah, they, like
Go ahead.
in one of the
Okay.
sketches.
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. Well, I think that'd be interesting because at the end of the day, like we are like tribes of animals who likely might bite each other, but that's not really what we play, right? We had other technology in order to fight each other. So I think it would be interesting to see this reversion of like we took some affected chi and now we're back to just like fighting each other. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that's such an interesting story point, but yeah.
I think it would
Go
be
ahead.
because we always relied on chi to
Yeah.
help us. And so if the chi was infected, then we'd have to rely on ourselves without this outside source to save the day. And I think
Yeah.
exploring that would be really interesting. Not just to come to the rescue with only what you have is rather than your superpowers is very much part of the superhero story.
The arc, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wait,
Right.
for
So I think
anyone-
that'd be really neat.
For anyone that doesn't know the thing that we're talking about, basically I placed it on the screen. These are like sketches of the the new theme. I see a like gorilla with wings, like a lot of spider webs, which is interesting, and like some kind of bats bull thingy. It's pretty interesting. And Eris, I looked up again, but yeah. Then my moderator asks, Ninjago Crystallize was actually kind of similar in concept to what the vampire plot that was planned for Chima. Well, that's probably a question for somebody on the rails, but yeah. Then we have someone that's Vanguard asks, can you guys still do the voices? Well, you do you.
Well, now they're using up all that chi, so doesn't it restore the balance of Chima?
That's very good. And David, can you do it?
Craig. No, I'm Craig.
Yeah, it started off good, huh?
Yeah. Oh God! Why is my dad always gotta get in the way? Or
That was very spot on.
Good.
That was good, and
oh,
Listen to this deal. Oh, sorry.
Razor.
Didn't mean to jump your line. Sorry.
Well,
Master Kreger, what are we going to do next?
that's insane. We should really make like a video, something like just something funny that uses your voices, because you guys are correct. You guys are absolutely amazing voice actors. I mean, that's your job, so you better be. But
It
you
is
know,
Literally what we do for work, so
Yeah.
whatever.
we should be expecting it. We should be expecting it, but it's still really good.
Believe it or
Thank
not,
you.
I am not a prepubescent crocodile who's, upset with his father's lack of parenting.
Well, who knows? Maybe you're still a reptile. Maybe you're like Marcus Zuckerberg, like a secret reptile or something. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah, reptilian or
Come on.
something.
You're the lizard person.
You're like, I'm just hiding in a meat suit.
Exactly.
Yeah, someone asked, can you make Bladvic's voice? I don't remember who was voicing them, but
I was Bladvic. How's it going, everybody?
it's great. And someone asks something like, what if LEGO Chima became a movie? What do you actually think? What kind of plot would you like to see in the Chima movie, or if it would happen?
We did one, didn't we? That was at Legoland.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the
we
4D
just
movie.
saw that. Ride.
When?
4D
Yeah,
experience.
it was a ride.
Oh, you went.
Yeah, I was in Toronto, and I was like, I'm gonna go to Legoland.
Box of Nothing. I don't know if you remember it. With the Box of Nothing.
Box of nothing. I don't remember what the line was, but I do remember.
They were basically.
Doing
Should
it.
I say it? Because I watched too much Chima. I
And
didn't.
then I bet Jeff can do it. So it was like, step, come on right up, or something like this. I forget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically like that. Well, I've got a deal for you. We have something you
Yes.
don't have. But we have everything. well, how? Well, this is a box of nothing or something like that, and then like, how can we have nothing if we have everything? Basically, they're saying like that, and it was really smart.
Have I got a deal for you? And like, I
Yeah.
remember that part.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Listen to this deal. Have I got a deal for you? You think you have everything? Check out this. We got something you don't have. It's a box of nothing.
That's really good.
Totally.
Since you're on the call with the writers next, can you ask them if that was taken from the movie UHF with Weird Al from like the early 90s? Because there's a whole scene with a box of nothing, and it always reminded me of that. Otherwise, I probably would have slipped my memory. But like, if that's it, I've always wondered if that was taken from that movie, because
Well,
I loved that as a kid.
now I got a deal for you. Would you just like to stay and maybe when we're done like with the official part, and if the writers also would like to stay, you can just ask yourself if you want. If you want, you can talk to them.
Ooh, that'd be great.
Like, I think
That
that's
said, I got to scoot.
yeah.
I just want to say
just
thank you
gonna
to
say that.
everybody. And if there's
Absolutely.
one final last question, I'm totally happy to answer. But otherwise, I'm just going to send you guys love because literally you make our lives better. And if anybody could bring the show back, it's all of you fans. And so thank you so much for being here, celebrating 10 years with us.
Well, guys, do we have one final question for Eris or Bethany Brown, however you would like to call her? Anyone has anything? Any one of the 73rd people viewing? Do you guys have anything? I'm just going to wait.
If you think of something, come hit me up on Instagram, Bethany Brown, and I'll do my best to answer you guys' questions.
Well, you guys know where to find her now. Go ahead, people. Ask her your questions, and let's just say goodbye, Bethany Brown. You're amazing.
Bye.
Thank you for being here.
Bye.
Chima.
Love you guys. Nice to see you.
You too.
I got another couple minutes here, so I would finally love to ask that question for the writers.
What question do we have for David Atal, aka Krager, and some other people? Well, animals. Do we have anything? What was your favorite minor character to voice? Like characters we don't see much. Says Wills or Lies Wednesday. Interesting name.
For me, it was Tom DeLuise for sure.
Yeah.
He was so
And
fun.
for you, Jeff?
A couple of them come to mind. One of them is Aquila, your eagle eye in the sky.
That was great.
I also loved Regal.
My father was a raven. My mother was an eagle.
He was fun.
Yeah, he was a really interesting character.
He was, right?
Did you actually voice him in the game Chima Online?
I did not.
Yeah, he was like I think he
Somebody?
was. He was like a major plot character, like a major character in that game. He was like the major
I didn't
villain.
even know there was a game.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
like it was shut down because it was an online MMORPG, and
Oh.
I actually have a project, and I do have like the files and a version of the game that still has servers up and running. It's very like bad, and because basically, I know a few developers, and together we try to help to code it from scratch, and that's the hard task because it was like a game with many full-time experienced developers, so it's not something you do like easily. But you can walk around, build things, and get quests, do things in your inventory. So it's pretty cool. We also have all the maps, all the assets, all the voice lines. Actually, we can just go through the voice lines. Actually, if you guys want to, like one time, do that. That will be
Yeah.
would be fun.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Basically, we can take a look at all the characters you voiced and what their voices were in the game. We could do that. Also,
Compare them.
Yeah, we could do that. You could give your own version.
They're not going to be better than the original.
Well, let's just see about that. Well, actually, I have never really played the game. Well, not more than like a couple hours, so I wouldn't know. But we could see. Also, Bethany Brown actually thought it would be cool to if you guys would like to play like what's called again Lego Dimensions and on the Chima world. You want to like walk around for like a stream or like together just do something, just play around. I don't know if you guys want to.
Discord stream, yeah.
Yeah, I actually have
Is
the.
there a whole Lego Dimensions Chima world?
Yes, there is. And the best thing is I actually have a way to emulate it for free and like everything. You don't need anything, so I could just help you guys to get it, and then you guys can play together if you want for like I don't know, half an hour or something, whatever you guys want to, if you want to.
This is pretty fun.
Well, we can do that.
I don't have time for that now, unfortunately.
No
problem.
problem.
But, yeah.
Well, do we then have any questions for David, or should we over like? Can you like? Do you need to go after this, David?
Yeah, I do. I got
Okay,
about another minute or two, but I'm happy to take a last question.
Do you want to, ask you instead of someone asking you? Do you actually want to ask the writers your question, or can you?
I do want to ask the writers my question. Actually, I'm so, and I'm okay if it wasn't, but it always stuck out to me. Loved that movie growing up, UHF. So.
Shall we just? Well, Jeff. Do we just like? Do we have any last questions for you actually? Because if we're going to go to the next people, then we should have. Do we have any last questions for Razor the Raven and Equilla and some other characters? It's actually pretty interesting. I mean, every one of you voice interesting characters because Chima was interesting. I love Chima. Yeah. Wait, the music stopped. Okay. Would you take Chi if you could?
Oh.
It's interesting.
Yikes.
I don't know if I would anymore.
No.
Pushing 40 here. I think my Chi days are done.
I like to keep things on an even keel these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to try to find my own inner Chi these days.
Yeah. I will do the
My
same.
answer.
Yes. I think you guys all, if you watched my very old and bad video about what she actually is, you guys know that it's very, similar to another substance. What would it be? It's a whole meme. Yeah. It was eerily similar.
Yeah.
You want to tell us?
Oh yeah, it's very like it's pretty much a copy of Crystal Meth, like a specific version. Like how it looks, obviously not a magical part, but like the effects on there, but are like really exaggerated. But technically, all the effects line up, like literally almost every effect. The only effect that it doesn't line up is the magical, energy that you can build stuff. But otherwise, literally everything, like everything I could think of, lines up.
Breaking Bad was a big show at the time.
Yeah. But shall we just go to the writers?
Yeah, let's pop them in.
John over.
Okay. Well, we would need to go to the next one. Jeff, do you want to come with? It would get a bit crowded then, so I don't know if you want to come.
I'm just gonna have one question, then I'm out.
Yeah, I'll just hang out with David for that couple minutes, and then I will bounce also.
Okay. Then
Thank you,
to
everyone.
join
Thank you in advance.
Yes.
So I'm just going to drag you into the next call.
Perfect. Drag away.
Okay. See you in like a couple seconds.
Okay.
Oh fuck. Oh no, I cursed.
Too, but it just seems like it's
Hello.
that's too much work. Hey,
Hello. There is someone to ask you a question. Actually, like one of the voice actors would like to ask you a question. Would that be possible? I'm going to drag them over here. It's actually the voice actor of Krega.
Oh, great.
your favorite, John.
So no, it will be get a bit crowded for the next minutes. So just stay a bit calm. So yeah. Hello guys.
Hello.
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 So David Attar, you had some questions.
Oh, David Attar. Hey, David. Nice
Hey,
to
how's it
nice
going?
to.
Good to see you.
You know,
The guy with
we haven't met. We've never met. I've never met actually any of the voice actors. I'm John Dervlane, the writer.
I recognize the name actually.
Yeah.
10 years later, I'm like, where does that? Oh yeah, of course, he was on all the scripts. So I had one question, and it only got brought up because someone else asked about the box of nothing. Do you remember that?
Vaguely,
box of-
yes.
Holy crap, that's a long time ago. Yeah.
That's a deep cut.
Right.
It is.
Yeah. Now, as a kid, I loved the movie UHF, and there was a scene about a box of nothing in a game show. And I was wondering if that was at all pulled from that, because when I read that, it reminded me of that, and I couldn't stop laughing. And I think only one other actor in the room knew what I was talking about, so I was kind of on an island there. But,
No, because I never saw UHF.
You didn't. This was the Stanley Spadowski show in UHF, which is the Weird Al Yankovic movie.
yes, that's right. Where he takes over a public access television station and tries to fill it up with content, and it's all absurd.
No. I don't know, John. This would have been an idea from you, but if you've never seen it, like, I guess it's an original idea. Great
All right.
man.
I'm still alone then, but it brought back that movie for me, so I appreciate it nonetheless.
Okay, that's good. And I'm actually going to a Weird Al Yankovic concert in February in Denmark, so I'm
No
very
kidding.
excited about that. Yep, he's coming up. Great.
You know, Tommy knows more about American pop culture than any person in the world, even though he's living in Denmark. You know, at the end of the earth, and he
That's
knows
amazing.
more what's happening here than I do.
Here than we do, yeah. Well,
Well,
sometimes.
it's limited to the 80s and early 90s. My sister worked in a video store, so I could get all the movies I wanted for free.
Nice.
So that's like the start of and the end of my frame of reference.
It begins and ends with Weird Al, but you know what? Weird Al is a good gateway to a lot of pop culture. So
Yeah. You sound nothing like Fraggle right now. You know what went wrong?
You can't.
what do you mean? I could sound like Cracker anytime I want.
Jeez, does that hurt your voice?
That's my actual voice. Yes.
Oh,
David's
there you
gone.
go.
It's Cracker you're talking to now.
Oh no, David.
That was a real thing. It's like when we're doing the casting, it's like how far do we take these characters into caricatures? And because when we first talked about Cracker, we were actually talking about Jack Black. It's like, but this was I guess before Kung Fu Panda even.
Right.
Maybe it was.
I remember the notes actually were Jack Black mixed with the Joker.
Okay.
And so I remember like I recorded the audition at my agency's booth back when agencies had booths, and I was like, my veins were popping out of my skull doing this one. So yeah.
Well, I mean,
like, we'll see if they like it. I don't know. Yeah.
We would write things like that and like never know what to expect.
yeah. Well, I mean, you do what you have to do to land the gig, but then it's like, yeah, you're gonna be doing that for 40 episodes now.
Exactly. You sure you can handle that? But you know what? For whatever reason, my voice can go there and it doesn't hurt at all. So thankfully, no negative side effects. So it was good.
Brilliant. You're still around.
Still around.
So are you in Vancouver or Canada? Where you're at? Okay. Still doing voiceover work? Acting?
Still doing voiceover, still doing acting. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
10 years later, still plugging away.
Do you get a lot of kids asking you to do a Cracker voice?
When you know what, the kids are a little older now.
Yeah,
so,
I know they'd be adults now, right?
Yeah, but every now and then, and now like when you tell them, they're like, "Oh yeah, oh cool." Whereas 10 years ago, they were like, "What amazing!" So, yeah, the wonder is different
Well,
now.
I mean, I think what we need to do is wait another 10 or 15 years, and then people are going to be in total awe because we know how we react to stuff that we loved when we were kids. Like, but it's gotta ferment or saturate a bit, and then you're just like, then you get into
Totally. Yeah,
fanboy
when you're
mode.
16, you love something.
Hour.
When you're 16, you think it's lame. Then when you're 26, you're like, wow, that really had a big part in my life. Amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you got the really tormented kind of guy. I mean, Krager goes through everything. You know, he's he's pretty unstable, and I mean, there's a lot of places to go with that character more than some of the other characters.
Yeah, he was on a roller coaster ride, that's for sure. You know, he had a highly deceitful sister. But I think he came out all right. You know, season 2, he figured it out. He found his own path, and you know, he was still tempted towards the dark side, as we would say, but managed to keep it cool with all that Chima, so that's good.
The original version, he was doing that on his own. He was going to all these emotional places on his own, and I think someone at the network or someone up said, let's have the sister sort of tormenting him with the persuader plants.
Right.
I think in the original version, he was just he was just having his own sort of ups and downs.
Yeah, there were very few redeeming features about him, and no, yeah, it's weird. Like, you know, thinking about it with today's classes, like, oh, why don't we introduce a female antagonist that is the source of all this guy's pain? Like,
right.
That's weird.
Yeah, maybe that wouldn't come from network these days, but yeah.
He redeems himself though in later seasons.
Talking about Chima, I see Sam just having behind him a nice little set. Is that what I think it is?
Oh, is that a Heroes?
Yeah.
Oh, I think 2 of those sets exist, and 2 prototypes. I think like yours, like Tommy Andreasen and Sam. You guys set have a little bit higher like contrast prints or something, but only 2 exist that were given away. I have one. I'm really happy with that. But that's insane.
Well,
awesome.
you did an unboxing and a build-up one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was insane. I actually was sick at that moment, so that wasn't a very smart day to start a stream. But yeah.
I have a test print of that box that has, you know, it says more than 10,000 pieces in it, which is for the second season, the Fire and Ice chapter. So that was offered to me simply because I had my hands very dirty on Legends of Chima, and they had like a few test prints laying around. So I got one of them. I guess Sam got another one.
Yeah, mine is the other one. Yeah, there was another one which I delivered to the archive. Yeah.
Oh, like yeah. But I think now. Back then, it was the most the Lego set in existence with most brick count, right? But now I think there's like a Taj Mahal or
there is
like
one set. One set. The world map does have more pieces, but this is still like the biggest, like the heaviest and like the most pieces. Well, not the most pieces, but like the biggest pieces. The world map has 1x1 tile pieces, I think, something like that. The 1x1 stud pieces.
There's not many Lego sets that have handles on the box. So this
this is I think one of the pretty awesome.
How many Krager figures are in that box?
I'm not really sure. I think like 5 or so or something. On the top of the box there is like a list of figures, Sam, if you want to take a look.
Maybe there's actually some sort of record there that you hold, David. Like most characters played by an actor repeated in one box.
In one box. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Dagmar Chima, shall we answer some questions from the chat? Because a lot of people are, of course, interested in Tommy Andreasen and the other writers, the writer and Sam, because you guys are legends. You guys made Chima and made
before we get started, I do need to run. Unfortunately, it was a pleasure getting to chat with all the fans, with John and everyone. Tommy, amazing. Thank you so much, and it's finally to meet you guys Nice to meet you guys. 10 years later.
Too.
You know? But, yeah. Thank you very much for Chima.
Yeah.
Chima.
Take
That's
care.
great.
Bye.
Thanks.
Are you also
that
going to
was
go,
like,
Jeff? Or what? Will you say, Jeff?
Yeah, I'll hang out. I'm curious to hear what these guys have to say. I'm Jeff. I've played Razor and Crawley and Bladvik and a bunch of others. So
Wow.
hi.
That's great.
Good job.
Nice to meet you guys.
But yeah. Actually, what question we have? Well, guys, do we have any questions about the Chima lore for Tommy and the writer or the writer and so? Which well, let's chat to his thing, because we have an exceptional chance here, and it's awesome. Like before the chats, I think someone is having some weird electrical sounds. By the way, I don't know if it's me. But anyway, like before in the stream, we got a question: how did the heroes actually get down from Mount Kavora in the last episode? Like, do we know that?
John?
How did they get down from Mount Kavor? I mean, I guess they could fly or something. I mean, a lot of the things that were keeping them away from Mount Kavor probably were not in effect at that time. I know they climbed up because the ice tribes froze it.
Yeah, and then they got to fly up there. I don't think that was ever a concern about. It's like, I think what we wanted to do was end the show on like the most epic shot ever. Like you start in, like you have the entire band there, you draw back, and then there's Mount Kavora, beautiful, and then you draw back more, and it's like, holy crap, this place is so much bigger than anyone ever thought, and what's down there? So it was the idea to open up or end the series with a question, and like, let's inspire people's imagination to come up with what's all this about, and then kind of puncture that with that joke of like.
Then we have another question that actually. Go on.
It's just like the quick question: how do we get down from here?
Yeah.
But we definitely had another season planned already. We had.
I think.
Yeah, that's
I
actually
would
my
suggest
question.
that I actually would suggest that Plovar used his legendary vehicle from the 4D animation to fly up there and collect them.
Well, legendary. Was it the special vehicle then, or was it just a normal playing thingy?
I made it, and it's only in this 4D video.
Yeah.
It's really weird looking.
Oh, by the way, we see it the Time of Heroes poster. By the way, I'm getting distracted from the questions of the chat. Let's just say, what were the plans for the fourth season of Chima, if there ever was going to be one? Like, we know that we got like some vampiric tribe concept art, but was it also like the story? Can we actually get to know a little more about the story that was planned?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it was one of my favorite seasons, and it never got made. It's well, we reveal that sort of Mount Kavora is part of this bigger world of sort of islands, and what happens is another island starts floating in called Dark Kavora, and it's Dark Kavora is filled with these sort of, bats and creepy creatures that can bite you and turn you dark, and they start biting and attacking the various Chima characters, and you start getting all sorts of. You get a dark clover, a dark a dark skinhead, dark beavers. It was a chance to take all our characters and make them evil, and then there's sort of a type of light chi that cured them. So you could cure them with these sort of light weapons, and then the models actually had little light elements in them that projected out. Never got made, but
No.
it was pretty fun when we were coming up with it.
The idea was to take the vampire concept of biting things and turning them into, now a friend becomes an enemy. But then doing that in that kid-friendly Lego way, where the dark biters, I think we call them, they bite into the chi. Now that turns like bloody black and red, and then they insert that into you. Now this is where you turn, and now you're like a vampire yourself. So it was like a corruption of Legend of Chima, and then part of the solution was to figure out how to get back up to Mount Kavora and then contact the Phoenix, which were now in the sun, and they would be able to, bring this whole new kind of cheat. I actually have a very cool 3-minute video on it that I hope I'll be able to share with you guys. That takes you through the broad strokes of the story and definitely the concept.
If you want, I can like show it here or like upload it on my channel if you want.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, we should do that. I think it's safe now because I think one of the things about coming up with things that don't actually make it is that things always get recycled. There's always new and interesting way to use an idea. So that's why we're pretty secretive about things that we don't actually make. But I think, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think some of those ideas were actually kind of recycled into the third season or the third iteration of Nexonites.
Yeah, we used a lot of the kind of bat-like concept for the what they called cyber fighter vampires from Nexonites. So there are a lot of those concepts that we used, the like kind of black, sleek vehicles. Put them over there instead. So we removed some of the animal formula from it and made them into this kind of cyber.
We actually have another question, and that's from Sokoda, and it asks, how did the citizens of Chima manage to attack in March of the Oni? That's actually an interesting question indeed. How did they manage that?
Well, in March of the Oni, that's a Ninjago thing. So one of the original ideas actually was that in March of the Oni we would have a shot of Chima being corrupted.
Yeah.
And we actually made the shot for the trailer, but unfortunately it didn't make it in. It didn't make it into the trailer. It didn't make it into the show. But the idea was that because Chima is now one of the 16 or however many there are in Jago, they would have been attacked and infected by the Oni. But obviously, once the Oni is eradicated in March of the Oni, that eradicates all the corruption in all the other realms. So, more really deep thoughts, I would say, but definitely good ideas.
Yeah. Basically, and that's actually some pretty interesting questions. Like, there are also, like, I made a lot of kind of theories on Chima. Like, also someone in the chat answered something of that regarding that. Would you guys have explored, or do you have anything to share about Eris's like family or lineage, or how the succession works on the Eagle Spires? Because we know that Eris was actually called like the minifigure guide or something, like nothing regarding Chima, just a general minifigure guide, as a princess of the Eagle Spire. But then it's basically like a utopian collective or something. But they do have a council, so it's an interesting group, interesting tribe.
Yeah. They're so agreeable that it wouldn't be a source of conflict of someone progressing into any sort of leadership role. So, I mean, they're almost like they're almost this perfect society. So, no, we didn't go into great detail about how that would work, because I think it would just work flawlessly. Everyone would agree. If they needed Eris as a queen, everyone would agree. Or so I don't know. What do you think, Tommy?
It's one of those things where when you do early thoughts, like you want to try to kind of put things in boxes, and so no, Ares is a queen, and maybe that information gets out there. I think it's one of those things where it's a good thing in the early concept stages, but then when you say, hey, well, we got the lions over here that are definitely they're very royal. But then you want to do something different with some of the other ones. So maybe, these are not royal. These are definitely something else. And I specifically remember when we were developing these things, there was a lot of emails going back between John and I in coming up with, okay, how are these different? And one of the things was like, okay, so the lions, they write things on scrolls. The eagles, they write things in books. The gorillas, they write things on leaves, but then the leaves rot, so that knowledge is always kind of lost. The rhinos, they chiseled it into rock, which takes a long time, so it might be very pervasive, but it takes a long time to document anything. And the ravens, it just gets lost in junk. So there were all these thoughts about how these societies worked. And we kind of try to stick to it, but it's some of those things where you think the thought as long as you need to get the episode out, and then like, okay, maybe we did document it all that well, but there was like a lot of funny thoughts about these societies, like wolves would then ride on hides and stuff like that. So I don't know if there's a royal lineage in the eagle family, but I think, you know, if you think about them, they feel more like an oligarchy or something. But I don't know what the word is, but it's like very evenly distributed. Whereas with the lions, you have like, oh, there's a king and there's a prince.
Yeah.
And with it's just anarchy.
We originally we would write show Bibles, and each Bible would have 400 pages, you know. So there's like probably 600 to 1,000 pages. So maybe somewhere in those documents we figured that out. But
So did you have thoughts about that when you were playing a character? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
Jeff.
this is how the society works.
How the society works. Yeah, certainly. I mean, like I think in the delivery of a character like Ewald, you know, he was sort of that sort of like this guy, you know, he was sort of like the nice guy, and he's sort of chipper and agreeable, and yeah, I would say that definitely went into my thoughts about him. And Razar, like, he was very he's very like mischievous and conniving, and you know, his primary objective was money and scheming, and so I would say that definitely impacted the choice for him.
Actually, I wish we had more time to put those guys in their different environments. Like the gorillas in the eagle world would have been fun. You know, just like the thing we were trying to do is these worlds are different. They work for their tribes. It works for the eagles, but if you put the wolves up there, or I think maybe the ravens might have gone up there and wanted something. If you put another tribe in that world, they sort of wouldn't know how to function. And I mean, the eagle world is an extreme example because you couldn't get anywhere without actually flying. So,
by the way, guys, do we want like to invite some people from the chats into this call so they can ask their questions in person? That will like be fun for them.
Sure.
Okay, guys, if you guys would just join my server, then you just go to the general call, and then I'll just pick someone to that can ask us some questions, or more like our guests. But yeah, if you want to ask me a question, that's fine as well. But yeah. Then I guess there's only one person at the moment. Just joined the call, but let's just get him here. He's Fang guy. He's actually a pretty good like child voice actor or something, I guess. Like he isn't too old, but he can just call him pretty well. So here he is. Hello, Fang guy. Can you just unmute yourself? That would be awesome. Already there. Fang guy, unmute yourself. Yeah. Do it.
Hello.
And there he is.
Hi, we hear you.
Hello. Hello.
So Fang
How
guy,
are you?
do you have any questions?
Yes, a few actually.
That will be fun.
So, my first question is, how were the characters of Chima like conceived? Like, how did you guys come up with them?
Well, that's really early days. I think there's the question about the characters and then the tribes, and so maybe I'll cover the tribes and you can get into the characters, John. But in terms of the tribes, we really tried to figure out, okay, which of these tribes represents something that kids really recognize. And so we went out to a lot of testing with kids. We knew we had something fun on our hands dealing with all these animals, but we wanted to make sure that these tribes represented something specific to the children. And going out and ask them, and it seems pretty obvious. Like, okay, lions are noble and strong, eagles are very I guess have their heads up in the clouds, very majestic in the presence. Gorillas are kind of brutes but friendly, and rhinos are dumb and big. So there was all these things that went into it, and I think that's just what led into the characterization of these tribes then, and also the casting, which obviously, like when we get to something like the ravens and Razor and Regal and those things, like you get like that thing in the voice, that also helps inform what the character's gonna be.
And you haven't lived until you've seen or heard Tommy do impressions of animals in an office. It's quite disturbing for a lot of people, but it also really reminds you that what we're supposed to be doing, right? It's supposed to be like fun and over the top. And we have some character developers in house. For example, we have a guy called Alex Boudon, who's a French designer. His main job is creating just character after character after character, and we're throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. Throwing the nose to Tommy and John, and seeing like, do any of these fit the kind of dynamic you're looking for? Is there a guy who needs to look smart, have maybe some eye goggles, or should have some pens in a pocket, or what are those details that makes a personality come out visually? Because from my side, which is the toy design, all of that story has to be told on a tiny little character that the kid will then bring to life. So maybe they'll see the characters on TV that then they will impersonate, but a lot of this stuff actually comes from their own imaginations based on what they have in their hands or they see on the front of the packaging. So it's also pretty cool to see that how do we tell the character to the people who write the shows, through just one image. It's pretty.
I would say that like the idea on how to visually depict a character that sets off the right emotions, it's almost like, okay, that if the character design is right, then that's almost the brief for the character. And I think like Alexander Boudon is definitely mostly the shamefully unsung hero of Legends of Chima, because he really did the designs of those characters, and he did so many different ones. He did some which were more animalistic, and some were more humanoid, and we tested out all this stuff. What we figured out was like the ones in the middle was probably the ones that the kids gravitated towards mostly, because they had the right level of human in them, but also like the animalistic thing. But his designs, and he's been doing Nexo Knights as well, and also Hidden Sides. So I mean, if it looks great, it's very likely it's come out of his hands. But John, in terms of the characterization of these individuals.
Yeah, I mean, once I got the images, you have a sense almost of who that character is, and it's just a matter of sort of fleshing that out and giving them more details. And one of the first things I did is I established this way of naming them. They all have this, and this is just so I could keep all the names straight. If you're a lion, your name begins with an L. If you're an eagle, your name begins with an E. If you're a wolf, your name begins with a W. So, because there's like 100 characters. I mean, there's so many characters to keep track of for my own head. And then for sort of, yeah, I know. And each of the main characters sort of epitomizes their tribe. So the main, gorilla's, he's that hippie guy, and the main rhino is that sort of tough dumb guy. the main character, Laval and Krager and Eris, at the time, my son was like 6 years old, and he was starting school, and him and all his friends had this thing where they're like, "Who's your best friend?" And oh, you're my first best friend, you're my second best friend, third best friend, and they're boys, and they're just trying to figure out. I don't know why they're trying to figure out the hierarchy of best friends. So that's probably inspired that relationship between Laval and Krager, where they are best friends and they're committed to being best friends, and then that falls apart. So that was sort of that whole dynamic. Krager is, he's just he's really conflicted. He's like probably one of the most conflicted guys and characters in kids TV. And Laval's, he's a classic kid. He's like, he just wants to have fun, but he has sort of this, this responsibility thrust on him. And Eris is that older sister, girl best friend that's just trying to hold them together,
Yeah.
And then
Shall
the
we-
other characters are all over the place.
It was a pretty conscious choice also to not make some sort of romantic connection between Laval and Ares, because it was something that was always like, it's always on the fringes, but we thought it was very important to get to this, like, you did like great friends, boy, girl, perfectly natural. That's how it is. You don't need to make a romantic interest. Obviously, then we did it with Andreasen and Rogan. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like such a fun juxtaposition about opposites attract. I don't know how we came up with that, but it's one of my favorite parts of the thing, and it definitely her jealousy when what's her name, Rhinona?
Yeah, that's a sister of Rogan.
Yeah, when she comes into the mix, we got a lot of network pushback on that, actually. Where they didn't like that Ares was now jealous because that was not her character. But I was like, hey, I think the people who wrote the character know the character, so shut up now.
I think it did make sense for Aris to get jealous of Renona.
Yeah, it was...
The way he was introduced was like, she's my very special friend. And then, like, but I'm your special friend. Like, that was... I think that did really work.
But guys, there are a few things, actually. There is one project, or like one book that's being written by like some of the Russian Chima fans. There's actually a lot of them. And one of the people, like the main person that's is in the Chima community, is Nick or Andre, or something like that. And that's actually pretty cool. I can show you guys a part of the like the front cover. I'll just throw it inside the thing. In the meantime, I'm just probably going to throw someone else in the call.
Oh, can I just say one more thing to Jeff?
Sure.
I thought your performance as Regal the Raven was very good. Like, it was way better than it probably should have been.
Oh, thank you. That was one of my favorites to play, for sure. He was also a very conflicted character, I found. He had, it was great to play the polarities of him, the Ravens versus the Eagles.
I still feel bad about how we treated him, though. Like, we sent him down, I mean, we tried to do good, and he gets to fly, but then...
Yeah. That was really fun, though.
I'm going to add someone that's basically one of my mods. He's
thanks for having me.
Like, well, no problem. Why? Okay, but basically that. By the way, someone asks me if I could ask you guys if you could play chess or something. Was like a running joke in the Ninjago community. So can you guys play chess? I'm not sure, but everyone was asking it in the comment section, and I'm not sure what it is.
I can play it. I don't play it a lot, though.
I play it. I prefer... Well, I play chess. I used to play pretty well. There's something called Ket, which is commonly known as laser chess, that I enjoy more. It has nothing to do with chess, but I recommend get a copy of Ket. That's a really good game. You get to play with mirrors and lasers. It's great.
Yeah, I played that. It's fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, we have Tumbleweed in here, and he's one of our
Hello.
mods, and he can ask some questions now.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Tommy if Crystallized was inspired by that vampire arc for Chima, because like in Ninjago Crystallized, there was the floating mountain and crystal zombies and the corrupted golden weapons, and that's reminded me a lot of that concept for the vampires of Chima.
So Tommy has one idea, right? And we've been riding it for 15 years now. And
I'm glad you
I'm
different
joking,
taste,
I'm joking.
man. I don't think it was. I can't say that it did work like subconsciously, but I will say this: when someone pointed out, I think that was on Twitter, like oh, now there's a floating mountain heading towards Ninjago City. That looks like Mount Kavora. And obviously, I've been working with that for a year and a half, and I was like, holy, yeah. I guess it is kind of like Legends of Chima, and it is like that thing, but it never registered with me. So I would say it's not consciously inspired by it or derivative of it, but I can definitely see, yeah. And even talking about this, man, some of the stuff that's gonna come out like in the not too distant future has remnants of this as well. It's like weird how ideas just keep falling on top of you, and it's something that you put aside, but now it becomes relevant again. So yeah. Well, I mean, maybe I'm a one-trick pony, but then at least I'm a very old pony.
Yeah.
I repeat myself all the time too, so don't worry. Without even knowing it,
It's what old people do, John, and we're them now.
Well, I've worked on like 150 shows. I'm gonna repeat myself. It's fortunately the audience keeps renewing, so
You worked on
the
150
are
shows,
watching
John?
20-year-old. What's that?
Have you worked on 150 shows?
Yeah, in some capacity. I've been doing it 25 years.
That's a
Probably
lot.
done 6.
Actually, there is like you were talking, Tommy. You were talking about things in a not too distant future. There is, of course, a connection between Ninjago and Chima with like the phoenix symbol, like Nia and stuff have the phoenix symbol on their necklace or something. And I'm also seeing a for the Ninjago 2023 series. It's like this, the fonts and stuff is eerily similar to the LEGO Chima like title. Does it have any connection? And even though you probably wouldn't be able to say it, and you're not on the show anymore, would you know anything that you may say?
Anything I know I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
I mean, there's going to be interesting things happening. Like I said before, I think there's a accumulation of ideas within the same few minds that work at Lego that keeps getting recycled or reconfigured into something, and then it may be a case of that. I think it's human behavior to look for patterns, and sometimes those patterns are real, and sometimes it's like, oh, I see 31 everywhere. So
Yeah.
I can't confirm anything about, like, I do love the idea that everything is connected in some way, and you might see that in some way in the future as well. But
I can tell you, I can tell you a link between a lot of the products that we make. For example, something that resonates really well with children is a formula called Sentai, which is essentially the Japanese formula for Power Rangers, where you have all the different characters, where you have distinct character look, distinct character trait, distinct character weapon, and the identity of that character. And that was pretty much the formula for how to create Ninjago. Then we changed it from ninjas to animals, and then that formula again works as well for Chima. And then what if it's futuristic knights? the formula is again recycled slightly. So you know, that is a thread that carries through a lot of those what we used to call big bang. So it was the big themes that come from Lego, and how we create the dynamics for the characters is starting with this real
Interesting.
basic formula.
As much as we as adults recognize these patterns and want to deviate from them, if you put it in front of children, they don't care. So there's something like embedded deep in our primordial brain that we just need to trigger, and that's what we're always working when we're coming up with these things, and then trying to, right, how is this then different this time, and that's where we get John and voice actors in as like, okay, let's we may not deviate too much from the archetypes, but then we deviate from the characterization of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys do come up with a lot of new and interesting things, and then if they don't test well, I mean, I remember in Chima there was like a half a dozen other themes that I thought were super cool and unbelievably cool, but they didn't resonate with the kids the way Chima did. So it's kind of.
I remember Chima was tested up against Ultra Agents, which is a theme we released kind of on the side. You know, those two were up against each other, and you know, both were successful, but one was like much stronger with the kids, which was the animals. And I think Chima, it started off as kind of like an Aztec theme with characters with animal power, and which then evolved to like the animals more important than the Aztec thing. So let's shelf that, and then the characters went from really human to extreme animal, and then we, you know, pushed the slider back to where we were comfortable with. We could, you know, have this as an actual plastic character that in a box that's actually usable, and then you can animate it in a show as well.
I think there were dinosaurs at one point.
Yeah, we tested dinosaur characters. We've tested every species of animal has been tested for Legends of Chima. So we could have gone for about 25 years without any problems.
Even dragons? Because Tommy said that dragons wouldn't be coming into Chima.
No, never dragons, but we did something like phoenixes. So we went obviously with the
mythical,
with the phoenix, but also like the hybrids, where you have a manticore, like a lion with eagle wing, like that. It's always listed. But like snakes and dragons were always off the table because, like, okay, that's over at Ninjago.
Yeah. And we did test dragons for Nexo as a potential character back in the olden days.
Yeah, but like so many. There's like a big question in like the Lego community, like Lego Chima and Lego Ninjago community. Like, did the snakes of Ninjago come from like the Chima world? That was, of course, fair enough.
That's what I like to think, and that's what I've always had in the back of my mind, because there are no snakes in Chima. So my head canon, and this is not established canon or anything like that, is like, okay, first Spindito Master created Ninjago, and he had to populate it. Like, okay, there were like the mer people, and then he just went to Chima, and maybe there's a story before the great story, or in between, or something like that, where he just went there and he took all these troublemaker snakes and say, hey, I have a home for you. You guys want to get rid of these guys? You want a place where you're doing well? Like, you know, let's go to this place. And now they're just a problem in Ninjago. So I think it's a very valid theory, and I like it, and it connects a lot of little plot points. So not saying it's true, but it's fun.
There are actually, like, I have a lot of theories. Like, if you're talking about like the story in between the great story, or like with the before story, there actually, if I put together all the pieces, like the Phoenix call their mother sun. They were birthed or born from the mother sun to bring balance to Chima and to protect it. So that happened. Then they basically terraformed like a mountain as their home, and they made like a settlement. And they weren't too far into their history, as far as I'm aware, because they still had like wooden palisades at that time. And then somehow the like the ancient hunters got born. Weirdly, and like also normal animals, but they weren't like humanoid at that time. Like I can go on forever because I thought about this a lot, too much actually. I would love to talk about it on a different time, but that's probably not what people are interested in now. So like, do we want to introduce someone else to just ask questions, or do you want to?
I could, that's actually the unproduced Chima feature went into sort of explained a lot of that. It takes place. They basically go back in time to when the Phoenix were the Phoenix were trying to enlighten all these tribes of Chima, and the saber-toothed tiger tribe got too enlightened and tried to take it over.
Actually, as far as I know, the first hunter war, because there was of course 2 hunter wars, actually went on for 2 generations. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Maybe you guys weren't involved, but the Sefenga, his sword, is of course made of like the saber. That's a tooth of the saber-tooth legend beast, as according to like the LEGO Legends of Chima weapon thingy. But his like halberd or whatever it's called, is actually passed down from generation to generation. So the person or like the animal that has it can name himself Sir, but he got it in the war. So that means that Fengar only became Sir Fengar later in the story, later in the first Hunter War. That's actually also where he started calling himself Sir Fengar. So that's actually, like, I'm going into this lore way too deep, but I just love the lore. And I know too much of it, and I what am I doing with my life? Help me. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I can actually explain it. So in the movie, Val, Krager, and Eris go back in time, and they actually run into Fanger, and they refer to him as Sir Fanger, and he's like, "Oh, I like that title." So he eventually adopts the title Sir Fanger because I think Val calls him that from traveling back in time. That's how he got. And this is during his war against the rest of the tribes.
Yeah, because at least his father presumably like led the saber-tooth tribe. Also, another question about leading the saber-tooth tribe. The Fengar, as far as I'm aware, according to the series, isn't the leader of the saber-tooth tribe. Actually, Stelthor is called the leader of the saber-tooth tribe by Sefengar himself. But still, Fengar is the leader of like the Ice Hunters. Is this like also true or not really?
There's a little thing I want to clarify here is like there's Sam, you're giggling to yourself, and by the way, I hate you. So no, there's what we do for the TV show, and then there's what needs to be developed for books and stuff like that. And in the perfect world, there's one guy, maybe that would be me, that reviews everything, and it's like, okay, everything is in perfect check, and but the fact of the matter is, there's hundreds and hundreds of pages on Ninjago or literature I don't know about, and in our case, Chima literature that John or Sam or I don't know about. So we encourage all the people to kind of, all right, spin-off stories, like be inspired of what we do. But we're like laser focused on what we need to do, which is to make some great products and a great season. So there may be information that gets a bit out of hand there. But
I'm sure.
But definitely, what John says there is right. There was like this Back to the Future or Terminator thing going on, where maybe Krager, Eris, and Laval actually inspired the events that are to happen later by going back in time. It was something very fun that we played around with, and if you remember in one of the Chima short films, there's a point where Sefanga says, "Beavers, and why are you so small?"
You said it was something from the film. Indeed.
Yeah, like when we see beavers in supposed to be film, they were like one of the ruling tribes, and they were huge, and they were very destructive. But I think then one of our characters, maybe it was Krager, kind of inspires them to, hey, why don't you repair things? Why don't you fix things instead of destroying everything? And then through 10,000 years of evolution from that one little line he inspired them to do, they grew small and now they're fixers. So there were these things going on that we hoped we would be able to pay off in that movie, but obviously it never got made. But we have a pretty great script and it's super fun. And it has a very clever ending, I would say. But that was supposed to be happening actually after episode 40, but before 41 or something like that.
Right.
You're talking about like making your own stories, like a bit before, but you said it. There's actually someone that really wants me to show you his like. I also told you about it, like his own story. They're actually writing, like the Russian fans are writing their own book. That's pretty insane. Like if you go to the chat, like the lobby that you guys have access to, you can see some concept art. I will also show. Like it's pretty nice concept art. I mean, with pretty nice, I mean like it's really nice. It's amazing. Like it's basically dragons. So something that you wouldn't put in it, but they sure did. You guys see it here. It's pretty nice.
I'm still trying to navigate Discord. This is not my.
I think you press like escape or something.
Escape.
Or just I can share my screen if you want to go.
Yeah, try to do that.
Let's do that. Why didn't I do this before? Okay. Opening.
I mean, I think with any project, when people start making their own stories, that's your project's working. You know, especially a toy project. I mean, that's the whole idea. You kind of set the table with the environment, and then kids take the toys and play with them. And when they're doing fan fiction, I think that we've succeeded. Even if it goes off canon and they make up crazy things and make relationships between characters that didn't have relationships.
Oh yeah, that is nice. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I'll just make a big screen. Like the detail in this, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like they're making like a whole book. They have made custom sets and everything. It's amazing.
I mean, and this is, you know, what we always felt, and we had talks about this. At least you and I had, John, was like, this thing should be able to function if it wasn't a Lego show. It's not reliant on, we want to put the Lego values of friendship and loyalty and all that into it, but the design is what it is. But if we were, I guess, if we were to kind of have developed this outside Lego, it would have looked something like this, without that main figure design on top. This looks awesome. But on the other hand, I do appreciate how much Lego brings to the table, and the toy designs and just the endearing quality of creating these characters in that iconic Lego look. And I think everyone was a little uncomfortable stretching the Lego look to Legends of Chima because, like, all these animal heads, it hadn't been done to that extent before. But we always joked like it's just Fabuland with big ass weapons.
Yeah. That's actually what. Oh no, I forgot. Shall we just? There is someone that said that. So let's just get him here. Do you guys know Nick on Planet Ripple? Do you know him?
Sorry, come again?
Nick on Planet Ripple. It's like Lego Rewind on YouTube.
I watch a lot of stuff. I may have.
There he is.
Hey, welcome.
Awesome. I don't know if he could say something, but he talked about basically Chima being Fabuland but with weapons, and he made like a whole video about it and spent most of the time with that video talking about that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
One of my favorite toys as a kid was Fabuland, especially the raccoon on the scooter and the elephant. Those were my go-to guys.
Yeah, like I watched his video on that like way too many times, and like I think it was like what was elephant? The elephant I don't remember, but basically also the name in Fabuland also were like if you're a if you're a platypus, then you're like Perry. Like the names also have like this little word plays. Like the first few letters start with like of the animals start also the name. Oh my god, I can't talk. But like the names of the animals are like the names of their animal, species. Thingy.
I don't know if anyone actually knows this, and I haven't been able to find it anywhere, but I think the first official Lego animation that was ever made was made by Wilfilm, who also did Ninjago, as Fabuland Claymation.
Yeah.
Back in the mid 80s, I guess.
It's really amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like
I
the
don't
same quality as like Postman Pat, Five and Sam at the time. It's like must have been super expensive.
Yeah.
Hey everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We hear you. Hey.
Okay. Yeah, my mic is working. I try not to interrupt anybody.
No problem. You're very kind.
So, what did I miss?
Well, you missed me totally forgetting, totally forgetting yours hooked up in the conversation. I'm sorry, but basically we were talking about Fabuland, and you with Fabuland, but with big weapons, and that became Chima, and you made a video about that, and basically spent a good portion of that video talking about that. So I thought about you.
Well, yeah, with those videos, I try to show past and future counterparts. I realized, wait a second, there was a theme with animal minifigs before Chima. So I took a few minutes to talk about that.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I could ever make an entire Fabuland episode. So I thought if I'm gonna cover Fabuland, I may as well do it here.
It's Fabuland is just lovely, and whenever I see something, it pops up once in a while in secondhand shops. I think Sam and I are big secondhand shoppers. We always go in and see what we can scoop up. Whenever there's any Fabuland going on, I always pick it up. So I have quite the Fabuland collection.
Yeah.
And we were joking about it when we did Legends of Chima, that this was like, this is just like season 2 of Fabuland. Fabuland hardcore.
Were you guys actually planning on putting like Easter eggs in the Chima like series of like Fabulands?
We used the same bricks in the Lego sets. So.
Actually, elephants were a thing in. Oh, sure. Let's go ahead.
10 years.
Yeah, we're old.
So there was a line in Fabuland, right? But there was like a raccoon, a hare, an elephant. I think we avoided a lot of the animals that was in Fabuland.
It's just weird because I remember Chima being new. I remember people being weird and mean about it, and now people look back at it and kind of appreciate it. That's nice.
Well, it was different.
Yeah. There was definitely a thing about, people were concerned about this was being brought in to replace Ninjago. And I think to a certain extent that was Lego's fault. It was sort of promoted that way. Wasn't really the intention.
They said, when you see this theme, you'll be like, what Ninjago?
Yeah, I
but I think that comes down to one quote from one guy at a toy fair or something like that. That really was Lego's promotion of it. I do think that the first trailer was from the creators of Ninjago or something like that.
I remember that.
And I guess that's either myself or and the front-end team that was working on Ninjago and also eventually did Chima and Nexonites, or it was just like, that's the Lego group, obviously that's the creators of Ninjago. But I think a lot of people took that the wrong way, and then it created this kind of false friction between the two things. Whereas what we actually saw is they were very complementary. Some people go towards Ninjago, and other people go towards Chima. In a way where we see that they actually supported each other on some level. but obviously you're always competing for the kind of same toy money. So, whatever comes out of one has to go to the other one. So,
I genuinely don't think we'll ever see anything quite as sprawling and ambitious as Chima ever again. Because most LEGO themes still have like 2 factions, combat in a box. But here we had several factions, which were all established as being like their own cultures. I mean, the first wave, it had like 5. You had the lions, crocodiles, ravens, eagles, and wolves. The gorillas didn't really have any representation of the second wave, but still, that's a lot for just like 1 year, 1 season. And nowadays, like, okay, you might have something where each character is a different color and they got their own vehicles and that thing, but you won't have like, here's this entire army and here's this entire army, and they all just kind of have to put up with each other.
Yes.
We learned a lot from Chief. I can tell you that.
I think, but I don't think the idea of launching, I think 6 tribes the first year was wrong, and then I think the bears and the rhinos came a little later. I don't think that was wrong, but when you looked at like the amount of the speeders that were there, like there were so many characters there, where it's like, is anyone really gonna buy 16 different speeders?
I will be right.
Run like 6 or 8, something like that.
I will be.
So I definitely think there was like still this thing going on in the company at the time where like what's collectability and how much do we have to put on offer. I think it's great to put a lot of different options at offer, but you also have to be realistic that maybe no one will pick up 16 different pretty similar sets.
Yeah. By the way, people are asking asking me to get more people in this call. Are you guys fine with that? Like not more than one person at a time, but yeah.
Sure.
Sorry, gang. I'm just gonna interrupt real quick. I got a jet, but this has been awesome to meet all of you and to get some of the history behind this. Very cool for me. So thank you. And
Reboot and let's just agree on reboot in 3 years from now, and we'll have you on again.
I'll keep. You better keep the promise, even though you can't really make. If you don't have any influence on this, you will keep the promise. And I'm not threatening you because you can't do it, but let's hope so.
Well, Chima was like my first job as a voice actor, and it was like the most fun time ever. And we all of us as the voice actors had so much fun working together on this show. The scripts were awesome. It was so great to have our own little Lego toys and stuff, and to like have like friends of ours have their kids want to talk to us about these characters and do little phone messages for these kids. It was just so much fun, such a rewarding process. So thank you for bringing me and all of us into that world. It's been a real blast.
Sure. And
You did amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Jeff.
Yeah.
Hope to see you again. But yeah, we have another person that wants to ask something about like somewhat of a portal or something. A portal and the Forever Rock. Well, I'm just going to move him here and let him explain it himself. So here he is. Oh, bye.
I'll be gone for 1 second. John, you take this one, and I'll come in.
Okay, see you soon. Well, AK or AAK, you're up. You're still muted. Yeah, you're still muted.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I just want to ask, on the Chima wiki, it says the Forever Rock is a portal to one of the other 16 realms. Like, you know which one and stuff?
In the feature film, they do a thing where they chi up, they attach chi to the Forever Rock, and they go back in time. That's what we did in the Chima world. Tommy does the crossovers. Is the Forever Rock a portal, Tommy?
We call it like a thin spot or a back door.
Oh.
That's it is. That well, at least that was the idea in this unproduced one.
Legend is true.
Yeah, it's don't think of it as absolute canon, but it's a very fun prospect that it is called the Forever Arc. It's a very special place. It even like it features in the online game. So there were great plans for it that wasn't carried outright, really, but yeah, it's a very special place.
Can they go to the other realms? He was asking as well.
You've got Christmas Town, Halloween Town.
That is Santa Claus.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's like there's also like a thing you told me. You said that Chima was a popular TV show in the Next Night universe. So that's also a fun crossover, sort of like non-canon probably, but it's interesting to think about. It's like Chima is a TV show in a TV show. That's a nice thing. Love to see that.
I mean, you actually saw just a bit in Nexonize if you paid attention. Like I think in the second episode, like there's like the danger room in the fortress. Like
Yes.
they just see a glimpse of Chima.
Yes.
And in one of the shorts, he's in Clay Morrington is in the simulator room and he gets kind of attacked by Eris. And we even have a full episode that turned into I think the episode is called I don't remember right now, but they're at this kind of spoof on Comic-Con where there's people walking around in costume. And the original intent was that there was quite a lot of Legends of Chima characters and quite a lot of Ninjago characters in that episode. So those two shows would have been fiction shows in Nexo Nights. And we even did record some amazing dialogue between a person that was dressed up as Kai and one which was dressed up as Garmadon, which would be on stage for the costume contest in that episode, but it never happened. But yeah, I work on several shows, so whatever I can do to kind of like just get a little in there of this and that, and even if it's a quote or a mention, I just think it helps to tie the whole thing together a bit.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. Yeah, I love crossovers. They're fun. Shall we get some other person
I
in?
think that there's a point where it can get too meta and then ruin the experience, and I am guilty of going there.
Oh, yeah.
And John is guilty of encouraging me to go there. But no, it's you got to remember we're making these shows for basically children, right? And then we do appreciate that everyone else loves them. But it's also very important that the people working on the show have fun making them, because that really shines through. So that's our ways of working is sometimes very odd. John and I would all right, let's work 8 hours on this, then go to the cinema, then go back and we're working another 6 hours. It would be one of those things where it's like, okay, it's driven on crazy energy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, Chima was done on a very small team. It was me, Tommy, and another guy, Thomas Fanger, who mostly did all the original story work. So, I mean, shows are done with a lot more people usually, but it was, I don't know, it was simpler times or something. We're doing things until people said no, So.
Yeah. And we did, I guess, 41 episodes, and you wrote all of them.
Yeah. Partly because it was so many. I mean, we had talked about bringing in other writers, but it was such a complicated thing. Like I said, there was these documents of 400 to 600 pages. Like, you want to come in and write an episode and have to read a 400 to 600 page document just to sort of figure it out because of all these tribes and all these characters and all this mythology. And I mean, 50-60% of that never ended up in the show, but you had to kind of know it to sort of understand how the characters would act. And there's maps, and I mean, there was a lot of material for just to bring other writers in. So
Is there actually a map? Is there actually
a very
map?
tight schedule too.
Yeah. Is there actually a map of Chima? Because all the maps that I know of, they're all quite different, which is understandable, but still.
Tommy, I think Tommy's map would be the closest to most accurate, but like you said, there's publishers and theme park people that are kind of doing their own thing at times.
I think the one in the Book of Chi is the based on Tommy's drawing.
The Book of Chi, I would love to have it. It's like in English. I'm not even sure if it exists, but I've seen like one picture of it, and I would love to have it. It's amazing, but I can't find it anywhere. In France, like the first one is quite common, and then in like Poland or something, the second one is quite common as well as in Denmark. But in other countries, no sir, it isn't available really. That's so sad.
I don't know. I definitely have the map, a high-res thing. The map in the map room of episode 4 of Legends of Chima, where they're like in that thing, where it's like a great mosaic. I do have that as a high-res PDF file, and at one point I actually considered having a great printout of it, put that on my floor in my entrance, and then put epoxy on top of it. So I would have like that as my floor in my. It would be pretty great. I never did it, but well, I guess I think there's quite a few lovely files we could share with you guys after this if you're interested.
That would be awesome. I don't know how long you guys want to go for. Like I can do this forever until I die. But
I think that story about the floor here just reminded me of something. So when we were pitching the Fire and Ice season of Legends of Chima, I think it was, or maybe it was even the first year, we built a giant Mount Kavora out of Lego bricks and hung it on the wall in the office in a big exhibition where we were showing off the brand new products. And that was the centerpiece of it, and it's the centerpiece of the story of Chima, right?
And then they threw it away. Sorry.
And so they had this huge cardboard backdrop, and there was animal sound effects and blah blah blah. This giant Lego built thing, and then it got dismantled because that was over. And I found the Mount Kavora in the trash. I found it in the Lego recycling. So we recycle all the bricks, and I was like, no way am I going to let that go to the trash. So I dug it out of this big box and I lugged it over to our office and I put it in this secret storage area, never to be found. I was going to eventually take it home and hang it on the wall in my house. And then I went on holiday for summer, I think it was. And when I came back from holiday, it was gone. And I was devastated. I was like, someone threw out my Mount Kavora. And then I went over to Tommy's house, and it was hanging on the wall.
A true raven. Yeah, I would do the exact same thing. I mean, if you saw a giant Mount Kavora just sitting inside a storage compartment, you would take it.
I mean, there's both in that story actually, because this was right when I was turning 40, so that's 8.5 years ago. And what I'd done is I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a thing for my birthday. I'm gonna make a Mount Kavora cake, and this is the first time I've ever made a cake. So I made a cake at home, and it was so big I had to bake it in the oven in 12 parts. And then log it into the office.
Wow.
Then I put out this big cloth which was blue, and then I reassembled like the 8 parts of Mount Kavora cake on the cloth, and then I used whipped cream to create clouds that went over it, and I had bought all these green candy that I would put on it as foliage. And then I had M2 had specifically produced a loop of Mount Kavora that I could put up on a big screen. So like, well, there's Mount Kavora, there's come Mount Kavora, eat it. And then And then I'd seen that thing in, I guess, same storage room. And then I suggested to, I think, Andrew Woodman, who was design director at the time, and Henrik Norneman's like, hey, if you want to give me a great gift, I know where there's one. And they was like, oh, you can take it, that's fine. So
That's awesome.
I do think I did it's been on my mind for a number of years, which was why I brought you that Golden Seas 3PO a few years back. So, I felt like
The
I
debt is
totally paid
repaid.
for it now.
The debt is repaid.
I just
I
just
just
want to
like.
say,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Chima, I think it still inspires people to this day. It's granted, there's always going to be the side of the Lego fandom that resents it for one reason or another, because they didn't like the show or they felt like it threatened Ninjago or whatever. But I think for at least some of the Lego community, it's become almost like classic space, where people will make mocks so inspired by Mtron or Blacktron or those things. Now we're starting to see, people, well, trying to continue the story of Chima with their own croc vehicles or lion or whatever else, or even making their own animal terms.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like we obviously have like the Russians trying to. I'm talking like they're one group or something, but it's like a few Russians and like some other people from the East Bloc are trying to make like a whole book, and it's like a pretty sizable book. Like don't get me wrong, it's insane. Like they're doing great work. And, like there are more. There are just so many projects. Like we have Dark of War Rising of someone. We have we have too many accounts. We also have like what was it? Chima. Someone that Wolf Tracks made. So someone that also made my profile picture. He's a very good artist. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, but I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just the thing. Like look at what I have in the background here, and Sam feels the same way. It's like whatever really resonates when you're around that age and you're very impressionable and you're looking for identity or whatever. Those things that you really love at that point is kind of the building blocks that you are created on. And take away Star Wars from Sam and I, and like we're just gone. Like we wouldn't exist as the person we are now. So I think that's just very wonderful to see that Legends of Chima inspire people in the same way as those things did us, because those were the toys that we played with.
And the fun thing is, there are so many other animal tribes that could also be sworn in. Like I've seen people take Atlantis minifigures and pretend that those are like aquatic Chima tribes.
Yeah.
I even consider doing that with like the squid and shark dudes from video. And then of course people have always wondered, oh well, what if there was a dinosaur tribe? Like would the raptors be flying and their long necks would be cranes or...
Yeah, I've seen like a video of. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
That's just what we specifically wanted to do with that last shot in episode 41, the last episode, where it's like, see how big the world actually is. We've been focusing on this little mountain and this piece of plot below it, but like now you pull out and holy crap, anything that you feel fits the aesthetic of Legends of Chima can just be put in there, whether that's aquatic people, and it's like kind of what James Cameron is doing now with Avatar, right? Like that was the story about a forest. Now it's a story about water. I'm not suggesting that we beat him to it, because like huge James Cameron fan and never bet against James Cameron. He's brilliant, but we were doing the same thing, and I think definitely inspired by that as well.
I think one of the things I appreciate most about Chima design-wise are the giant brick-built animal heads. Because, usually it's the opposite. You either have like Lego dinosaurs that are just a few big smooth pieces, or you'll have like recent Ninjago dragons, or the animals from Avatar that are brick-built bodies, but still have like molded heads. And then you have Chima, which are mostly vehicles with really intricately sculpted giant animal. It almost seems like they're worshipping the animals they design their vehicles to look like. Sure. And I always found that very charming about it. It made them very expressive and loud.
Shall we? By the way, people are still asking questions. Shall we just throw in another person? Because we're here to celebrate the community, so let's just do that. By the way, guys, if you have had enough for today, then just say so. Don't want to imprison you guys or something. Yeah.
I'm good for another half hour.
That's great. I'm down for anything.
I'm afraid I might have to go on a moment's notice. Not right now, but sometime. Might be very abrupt. So it's okay if I turn my webcam on and share something Chima related.
Sure, go ahead. I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
Okay. I'm gonna make it a dramatic reveal.
What? I wish I had
Camera.
like a knife.
So this,
Oh yeah.
you may recognize this. It is a modified version of Ninjago's Misfortune's Keep, but I made it to suit the ravens. I even made that long beak. The middle part is only 1 brick thick. It's made of 2 rows of those bricks that have an axle hole through them to hold it in place. And it's even just the right, it has just the right amount of space for this side build from a Chima set to fit in. And I just thought the Ravens, their aircraft was very nice, but I always thought they could have used one more thing that was bigger. Like, you know, the Wolves' biggest vehicle or Krager's ship, that they deserve something like that. So that's what I went and did. I love the Ravens. And Misfortune's Keep already had such a scrapped together kind of look that I thought, hey, that looks like something the Ravens would make.
Yeah.
There you go.
Actually,
I recognize the Destiny's Bound, so Misfortunes Keep immediately there. But holy crap, you really pulled together that scrappy feel of the Ravens.
Thank you.
It looks great.
A couple of details to point out. You know, this is how I attach the feathers, just to give it the impression of like, actual wings. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, I gave it tires on either side, in bright red, just to evoke that imagery that the other Chima vehicles. But with their eyes look a little more natural. Again, I figured, well, the Ravens would just use whatever parts they had.
Actually, Nick, there's one thing that I really love it. He makes some amazing builds, and he also made like a croc helicopter. Like we were talking about Ultra Agents earlier, and I always thought, me too. I always thought that helicopter looked really cool, and Nick actually made it like a crocodile helicopter. Like it's amazing. I don't know if he has it still.
I have it, but I'm not going to
product development our product development pretty much started as a lot of jokes. So, the crocodiles, they should have this big ship that looks like a crocodile. And Mark Stafford, he built it as kind of a joke. And then it became probably one of the best sets of the whole line that we did. So again, it was just like, well, what stupid thing can we mix together now? And when we made a drop ship, I think it's one of the very last sets where
it's the helicopter.
Gregor has this helicopter drop ship that can drop a lion. It's just such a ridiculous concept that it was just, when we saw the toy, it's like, that's the one that we have to do. And then that's why it's written into the show that they join forces that way. And it's just all these things, they start off as a joke, and then it's so great to see that they resonate with people, and that you're still carrying on with this design style, because we a lot of the things we did were for fun. I designed this polar bear mech that I really wanted to do a wrestling move, just because I like wrestling. So I wanted it to do like a clothesline wrestling move, and it does it, right? So it has like a drill on the hand, and it can. It's stupid, but that's how we came up with a lot of those ideas.
But,
It's just like, let's just have fun with it.
But that's what a lot of, well, actually most of the time, those designs and those things that come out of the design teams is what inspires the story, because the croc helicopter putting down the lion vehicle is all of part of the theme of coming together. And then the insane wrestling move of those ice bears, that was just like, okay, Okay, if that's what this thing is, then these are the most ferocious goddamn things we've ever seen. So we gotta portray them that way in the story. So like, we don't release the ice bears until like, oh shit, someone released the ice bears, and then they come in and wreck everything.
Yeah, they are insane. They're absolutely vicious. They're awesome.
Yeah.
I love them.
That's the problem with these shows. You always have to come up with something that's tougher and stronger than the last thing you released. You know?
Yeah, power crawl, power. Well, I don't know. I don't know how it's called, but it's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah. Then we have someone that wants to say something, like Chaosbringer. Nice name. Go ahead.
Hi.
Greetings.
My God, I never thought I'd ever get to talk to any of you.
Well, here you
I just
are.
want to thank you for my entire childhood. And I've already asked this before, but do any of you know how to play chess?
Yeah.
And John and I do, and I am very good at it. John sucks.
I'm not very good at it. No, I'm terrible.
I'm not great at chess.
I'm sure this isn't about Chima, but I'm sure you've heard of the Dark Island trilogy. Do you have any copies
The
of
what?
it?
The Dark
The
Island
Dark
trilogy.
Island trilogy. You know, after Skybound.
It's from Ninjago.
You probably wrote it, Tommy.
Come again.
Sorry.
Every time I hear about it, like, come again.
The Dark Island trilogy. It occurred after Skybound.
Skybound.
It's a book series.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, the Dark Island. Yes, sorry. Yeah, I wrote the base storyline for that one. Yeah.
Do you own them? I mean, do you have them?
I have them. I can go and get them, and we can read through all the pages right now if you want to.
That's okay. I have it. Thank you so much for everything. This is. I never thought this would ever happen. Yeah.
The Dark Island is fun, and that's why we actually tried to include it as the canon of the Ninjago show. And if you read my thing that I have online on Twitter, which is called Way of the Departed, that starts to tie into where the Dark Island trilogy ended. So I'm going to finish that one of these days. Like I write fan fiction for my own shows.
It's true.
Actually, John and I, do you remember this, John? We got a letter from a girl who really loved. She had an idea for a lioness before we came up with Lionella.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
You drew a whole thing for her.
Yeah, well, you wrote like a story for her, and then I laid out it, and then we got it sent to her.
Yeah. Don't let too many people know. They'll all want that.
we used to get quite a lot of fan mail, and if anyone sent us a drawing of a new character, actually Junior Suzuki would redraw it as a new character design, and then we would send it back to them like the original drawing. It was really crazy. It's like, we've got half an hour, let's do this character, and I would read the story, and he would just sketch like weapons and stuff for this character. It's pretty
awesome.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's great. I don't know how long you guys want to go on. Should we just throw in one more fan?
Yeah,
let's keep going.
Okay, let's do that. Like this. And who shall we throw in? Let's throw in. I think he's a little shy, but let's throw him in. There he is, Lime Lion. Greetings.
Hi, welcome.
His headset is turned off. He can't hear us. So sad. Oh no. I'll just ping him. Oh, so sad if he would lose his chance. It was.
we don't like to wait.
Whilst you're waiting, I have a story to tell.
John, you should
meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Hold on, let me get up I'll reveal my face to you guys. Hey guys, what's up?
Hey.
Hello.
It's such an honor. I've spoken to Scott Shantz and to Jesse and Ocala before.
Nice to meet
Yeah,
you.
it would be I wouldn't have met the latter if it weren't for this guy right here.
What?
Who's that?
It's from an anime called Beastars, Lego She.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Do you have any questions you want to ask them?
Yeah, basically when I met the voice actor for this guy, Jonas Scott, well, I've went into this program called Color World, and a few months later, Jesse Ocala was on there, along with Ray Quell, the voice of Rayona.
Cool. Well, yeah,
I think they were
it's,
both on there
fun
mainly
how
because they were both which continue to work together in like the Dragon Prince.
Yeah, well, actually, the Dragon Prince is also directed by a guy who worked at Lego, and he did the first season of Monkey Kid. Then he left Lego. Now he's directing Dragon Prince. So, like, it's a very fun thing to see how small this community actually is of creators and voice actors.
Well, yeah,
I've really enjoyed Chima a lot. Yeah, Scott Shantz is a really nice guy. I hope to interview him one day sometime. But yeah, I've enjoyed it so much. He was even the first. Laval was the first character I got for Lego Dimensions.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah,
Scott.
well, I played as him a lot. He was my go-to character, and even you know what? Surprisingly enough, he saved when I used him to save Superman's wifey, who Lois Lane, in one of the levels in Lego Dimensions.
I think I find that fascinating. Like, I played through the dimensions as well, and Legends of Chima was not part of the main storyline, but once you had the characters, there was like this huge world of Legends of Chima in there that you could go as a side quest. I mean,
So good.
you could call in some extra powers from Chima, but like when you actually play the Legends of Chima part of Dimensions, it's wonderful. So,
Yeah,
I still have
Laval
it.
was my go-to guy until a certain blue hedgehog came along.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah,
I
Sonic. I always think Sonic and Laval have much in common. Both have a thirst for adventure and are both aquaphobic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He didn't teach the lion beast to swim though. But my thing was like Superman or Ares in Dimensions. They can fly. You know, you can't beat that.
Yeah, even Ares has an interaction with Superman, with her asking how does Superman fly without wings, and he responds, I don't know, I never." It's something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah. There's one where if she's in their if she's in their Phoenix outfit and she interacts with Kai from Ninjago, they have an interaction about being the elemental master of fire. Like it's very well done. Not the right actor voices though, but the intentions were right.
It's just a pity that we couldn't get the original voice cast of Ninjago and Chima onto the Lego Dimensions because it was the Canadian border issue, I think.
Yeah, it is super weird because they have Christopher Lloyd, Michael J. Fox, but they couldn't get fucking Vincent Tong of Ninjago. Like,
I'm also trying to do a little work on a story with someone, trying to give Crueler some closure and justice. I mean, out of all the characters that needed closure and justice, she needed it. I mean, her parents basically neglected her and denied her a rightful throne. I just couldn't help but feel sorry for her.
John, that's on you.
Yeah. Where did she end up? I don't remember where she ended up.
Well, apparently it went until it didn't. Her fate was unknown.
Did she get chased away or something? I don't remember.
Well, Crueler, at the end of season 1, she basically got imprisoned into the dungeons of the lions, of the crocodiles themselves. Then she got freed, and eventually she just returned, just casually living in the crocodiles, like throne room or something. And eventually, she just got blessed by the illumination, and she was good forever after.
Oh, convenient. By the gods of convenience.
Yeah, I mean, Cruella was never. She wasn't. She kind of came on there of. Her role sort of was satisfying some network and executive notes, so I was never. I love her name and I loved her character, but she was not necessarily my favorite character because of how she sort of took on this. She was a solution to something that was not inherent in our story. It was inherent in the production process and getting sign off.
How would you feel if in the story I gave her something like Tonfas? I love Tonfas. Even got a pair of them.
Sure. I run with Crueler. I underserved her probably intentionally. So whatever you want to do.
Of course. Anyways, I was surprised that even in the back to Lake Dimensions at hand, I was surprised that Sonic even got a voice line with Kragger, mistaking him for Vector. Yeah. Called him. He said he had sweet threads.
Possible.
That's sharp though.
Are we going to put in someone else? Because I don't know how long you guys have.
Let's go on for a little. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. Sure.
Thanks, Lime.
Oh, yep. See you later, I guess.
Thanks.
Have a nice one, Lime. Goodbye.
For Chima.
For Chima.
It's funny now that the Woody legs have been brought back in those Avatar sets, so they're not the Woody legs anymore. They're just long legs. I have to wonder what other animal tribes might have been possible if those legs had been
The giraffe tribe.
Yes, the giraffe tribe.
We have sketches of them. They don't look very cool.
I may have to get going at a moment's notice. I just want to show one more mod that I dug out. So people have thought for years, like, oh, those Batman sets, this would be good for the Batman because they only ever got the one thing. But most of those vehicles, they look too futuristic for me. They don't have that Chima vehicles typically, even like the sleeker ones. But there was one Batman vehicle that I thought was appropriate. The Scuttler.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Look at this head. I love how the eyes and nose turned out. It's got this pug-like muzzle, very short. Still got just enough space for a guy to sit in there. And wait until you see how I got the ears. Yeah, those are actually wing pieces, the same ones that are on the smaller Bat vehicle, and they're just connected by a pin here and a clip, because the edge is like a bar. So it's just perfect for that.
That's
so,
awesome.
Thing is, I was inspired by all the many amazing Chima animal heads that you guys did. That's what went into making this one. Just taking.
It's gotta be one of the biggest one though.
Huh?
That one, I guess, the lion head has got to be the biggest ones though.
On the lion. The
What I like about Croc vehicles is that the snout was typically like part of the hull. It wasn't just tacked on; it was part of the structure. So
Yeah.
it always looked the most terrifying, I thought.
What's your favorite Legends of Chima set? And I'll tell you if I designed it.
Ooh.
And I'll be offended if you don't choose one I made.
Choose wisely. You only get to choose once.
It really isn't easy. I mean, I can tell you a couple of my favorites. I love that big H-Tank lion set. I'm afraid I don't remember the actual names of that many of them.
Laval's the Memorial Fighter?
Yes, I love the combat layer. I love that mammoth stomper. You may have noticed I tend to like the bigger ones.
Keep going.
Well, you have more room to work with.
Oh, I know. Eris's Eagle Fighter. That might be
Eris Eagle Interceptor, you mean that? That one is
yes,
amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love how the colors and shaping come together. I love how the shapes and colors come together on Everest's Eagle Interceptor. It's one of the most
Yeah.
beautiful Lego aircraft I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Even
true.
though it would not actually fly because of how the nose points down. I
Yeah.
still like. It's the rule of cool. It looks cool. That's all that really matters.
Who actually designed that? Because it's
It
amazing.
wasn't me, that's for sure.
That's too bad.
It was Mark Stafford designed the Eagle Interceptor.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I designed the Eris's Fire Eagle Flyer, which is far superior.
One other thing
I don't know about that, but it's certainly a set that exists. No, okay, but it's pretty good. It's good.
The printings, just the armor and clothing that the characters wear, is so beautiful. Yet most of the time, it's covered up by those armor pieces. And I do like those armor pieces. But if I have multiples of minifigures or of Chima characters, I typically give some of them, like the winged ones, these transparent back pieces, so they can still have the wings, but now you can actually see that lovingly detailed armor. And I appreciate all the artistry that
Chima really goes.
It's one of the most remarkable Lego worlds.
Chima is really fleshed out.
Artist, isn't it?
I mean, when we
Yeah,
originally were talking about
on that, and on that, I would just like, if even if you look at it today, it's from 2013, the first season. Holy crap, does it look great?
Yes.
M2 really didn't pull any stops in making that thing look amazing. I think I haven't watched it in a while, but once in a while I do pull up a random episode and just watch it for a little while. It's just like, man, this is 10 years old. How is this even possible?
All the reflections in the metal as well. That was also crazy.
Yeah, it looks so great.
It was
And
at a
I
time
think-
as well where CGI shows they all had this like empty wasteland. Everyone lived in this empty wasteland, and you were supposed to focus on the thing that was happening.
Yeah.
Some episodes
Yeah.
of Ninjago, like where they're just digging, and then there's just big wasteland around it. They put in all this like foliage, and they spent really a lot of energy on the outskirts of scenery, and it was really impressive.
That's actually interesting.
And
I
I-
actually used some special effects or something like AI to remove the beginning shots of Chima, like every real season had like Ares just flying in the air. I removed Ares from that and used AI to fill it up again. And you can just see the amazing world of Chima. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and
amazing.
I think that's one of the things, because often you can make things look great, but it's basically a still. But what you will notice if you look at Legends of Chima, the camera is always moving, and that's the immense amount of computer power that it takes to generate that, compared to, hey, here's a character in front of us, is still image. It's just immense. So it really. We really went all out, and I'm very, very proud of that. That's why it still looks great after all these years.
Yeah, like Chima, it really is like a masterpiece, of world building and of it really is amazing. It's so fleshed out. Like no theme, in my opinion, really compares to it, and especially not relative to its runtime. Because Chima, I have a YouTube channel about Chima, like you probably know, but I got the pure fact that I can have a YouTube channel about Chima and make a lot of theories and videos about it, with only a theme that barely had a three year runtime. That's just amazing to me.
I also I love just the style of Chima. Like, of course, I prefer the minifig characters to look like minifigs on those mid-2000s Star Wars animations where they had the weird sculpted faces. But it's the opposite with the vehicles. I prefer for them to be interpretive and slightly more realistic looking, like you typically see in Chima and Django, instead of one-to-one recreations of the sets with the studs and gaps and everything. It's the same with Bionicle. I love those early Miramax movies where you can actually see the bits of muscle holding their frames together like they would look if they were real. And then the Legendary Board came in and they had to look more like the sets, even though those were more organic characters. Anyway, I'm going off track. I love just how consistent the world of Chima feels. No part of it, not even the characters, feel out of place.
You did a great job.
Yeah, let's try bringing it back.
That would be amazing. I would give anything. I would love that.
Talking of out of place, right? So there was this one character who was in maybe about 50 sets called Lennox.
Yeah, Lennox.
And he was our kind of guy that was going to be the representation of the cool lion characters. But we were going to put him in like the cheaper sets or the giveaway sets, and he was just a cool looking guy, real basic kind of lion guy.
He actually.
Then about reading after about I don't know 5-6 scripts of the show, I approached Tommy and was like, "So when is Lennox going to be in the show?"
Yeah.
And he said, and so the show's already in development and everything. So I'm reading scripts as we go, and it's kind of a staggered development. You approve a script, the show gets made. Approve a script, the show gets put into production. Blah blah blah. So it's like this big cascade. And I'm like, so when is Lennox going to show up? And Tommy just said to me, "Who is Lennox?" And we overlooked that this character should be included in the show, which is why I think he's so dramatic when he does finally appear in the show. He's like a thespian actor. He makes this kind of big impact because we forgot to put him in the show for like 10 episodes or something.
He actually appeared in like one short, right? And that was it. Actually,
from his life's adventure or something.
That was my feeble attempt to make up for that. Like I wrote that Lennox the Brave.
Yeah.
And I specifically remember I remember writing a email to John saying like those guys are talking about a guy named Lennox. Do you know anything about and John's reply, I remember this, the first line of it, "Oh Lennox, how we have forsaken you."
Oh, poetry.
It's like
I have one other thing I want to point out, and I'm sorry that I spend most of my time here just complimenting you guys. I'm not asking questions. But I love that each tribe has its own feel, and I don't just mean the color palettes, because I like how you tie some of them together with blue chi and some with red chi and green and so on. But I noticed that each tribe tends to have its own design language. For example, lion vehicles, at least in the first year, they all tended to be square-shaped from above, because they were they were consistently shaped. Whereas the tigers, despite being like very similar to the lions, they have a more triangular front-loaded shape. Big towards the front, small towards the back, and they tend to be more low to the ground. Whereas lion vehicles are raised up pretty high. And the Crocs, they have their own design language. They're long and broad, and it just seems like each tribe, like even the bears, they graze forward with these big paws. The two vehicles that they have, and I just love that you can tell which tribe a vehicle is from just from the shape of it, basically, or the types of wheels that it uses. And just I didn't collect that many Chima sets back when it released, but a few years ago I really got into the theme. Bricklink and eBay, all the old sets, and building them, I noticed all these trends within each tribe. And I'm like, oh, wow, there was so much thought put into this. And it's remarkable.
Yeah. Obviously, that's the design team, but I also think it is the benefit of having a small crew team working on something that they truly understand. And then that's where we have people like Sam that he's not in and out of this thing. He's in it for the whole run. So that's why all these values and thoughts behind it get embedded. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You also have to intervene. I mean, one thing that threw us is it makes sense. Crocodiles are in a boat, eagles are in a jet, and then suddenly the wolves have these sort of these tanky kind of vehicles. Suddenly the wolves had wolves got a helicopter. We're like, that doesn't make sense. Wolves don't fly.
Wolves don't belong in the air.
Yeah. Airwolf.
But the toy people are like, we need a helicopter. There's for some reason they need a flying vehicle. So we had to jump through a few hoops to explain why wolves suddenly had a helicopter.
Well, can I just thank?
But then you
thank
put
someone.
the voice of the viewer who might think that is a problem into the show, like wolves don't belong in the air. Like I think is a line, or is that from Gregory on the crocodile thing? It's like okay, that's actually the voice of the writer saying that, but it also justifies that. Okay, yeah, now they are breaking the formula, but it's okay because it's Cruella thinking out the box here. Yeah.
The Eagles had a motorcycle at one point as well. It was just
Yes.
Yeah.
But that made it into the show too.
It was Igor's motorcycle, but Ewald wrote it, or I don't know why, but it's a thing.
Are you telling me that we couldn't tell the difference between the Eagle characters?
Yeah.
John bought the Legends of Chima Lego Encyclopedia so he could keep track of the names at a certain point.
Oh my.
I edited that book just for you, John.
It's a lot. I mean, what show has hundreds of Game of Thrones? I mean, that was our sort of like at a certain point that became our reference. It's Game of Thrones with animals. But like you try and watch Game of Thrones, I can't. There's like 100 characters in that too. I wish I had an encyclopedia for that show.
I'm pretty sure it's based on Legends of Chima, isn't it?
I want to say I appreciate how deftly the ice characters were handled in the writing of the show, because the show, it is very kid friendly. But then you look at these characters with most of their entrails on the wrong side of their rib cage, and like their skulls bolted together. Jeez. And yet the characters, they just refer like, oh yeah, they're broken, or like, hey, do we look fixed to you? And I just thought that was a very gentle way of handling this really gruesome imagery.
Yeah, they were supposed to be kind of. They're supposed to be kind of like zombies initially. I think we called them the Nullfawn was the initial on the writing side. And I think there was some pushback from making them too zombie-ish. So
we tested sketches from I think it must have been Alex. He did like super zombie sketches of like vultures and mammoths, right? And they were like they're like torn apart bodies, and they were pretty grim. And that's what we used to test the theme of like, could this work? I remember we tested it in the US, and it's around the time that it's like the peak Walking Dead. It's advertised everywhere, and we're going to kids around California, like showing them these, and they were absolutely terrified because it's mainstream. It's mainstream media there, right? The watershed is so totally different in the US compared to say Europe. And I remember the kids were like totally into it, like, yeah, this is what we want. This is exactly what we want. And then when we tested in Europe, we tested in Germany, I think it was, and we actually tested with the parents. And the parents are like, yeah, that's fine. My kids will love it. And I remember the kids were like absolutely terrified by these horrific creatures, and it's like, okay, well, it maybe works over there, but it doesn't work over there, so we need to somehow find somewhere closer to the Lego minifigure, and that's why we ended up with how they look. They're a bit more.
I have some of those examples. I am sharing them in the Discord now. Do you mean like these guys?
Yeah, these were the ones that kind of went too far for some kids.
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
And I did a presentation for Cartoon Network on this concept, and they didn't even allow me to finish it because, like, here's what's wrong with this.
Their arms and legs are off.
I felt like I was bringing them freaking gold. Like we're gonna do zombies, but we're gonna do it age appropriate, and we're gonna do it for kids. But I was just like caught off, like 2/3 into my presentation, at the exact point where I was getting into the more gruesome slides. So I was just like, Yeah, I'm just gonna stop here and say, we're gonna take your feedback. it, you know, every time you try to go like a little beyond, you get some pushback, and then you kind of need to take 2 steps too far. You push 1 step back. That's how you kind of expand it. So.
Yeah, we actually have someone called talking about zombies. We have someone called Zombie in the general call. Shall we just throw him in? Okay, sure. Here he comes.
I really do have to get going. It's been a pleasure to hear from all you guys. Thank you for creating Chima.
Yeah, certainly.
One of the most fun LEGO themes in, well, general, and it continues to inspire people to this day.
Yeah,
So
Chima's the
good
best.
work.
I can totally agree with that. What do I hear? It's Mr. Zombie. Hello. I know what he wants to ask to us. He has his chance.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Hey, Zombie.
Doing good, actually. It's an honor to meet the creator of Legends of Chima, to be honest. Great honor. So, well, I'm kind of a bit speechless, to be honest. Just.
And there's Nick. I can imagine.
Just know that like Legends of Chima was created by a whole bunch of people and a lot of children's feedback. So we may be kind of the face of it today, but this is not something that we just sat down and created, the 3 of us. I just want to make that absolutely clear.
Yeah.
We have our hands very dirty with story and production and product, but this is like a very collaborative effort for a lot of people at LEGO.
I can imagine that. Like, I think there's like one place like called like the Chima Vault or something. Like, I think was it like a Skype group, like the producer of Chima told me about that. Where you basically had all the Chima material in one place.
Oh,
I think
yeah, that's
yeah,
Corora or something. It was like M2 Film had their own thing, and everything was in there, even down to like Krager's sandwiches and all those kind of things. And,
well, what about them? What was their interesting story?
I remember specifically the sandwiches because I had to prove them twice. I had to approve them twice because I approved the sandwiches. It was ham. Was it ham sandwiches? I think something like this, right? For Krager in one scene, and then Tommy wrote back saying, "No, Krager likes to have the crusts cut off of his sandwich." So we had to redo the advert with no crusts on the sandwiches. I specifically remember that.
Yeah, I remember. That's like in the episode where they were taken captive by the wolves.
Yeah. It was something like that. Yeah.
They're basically like
crustless sandwiches.
It was like an Uno reverse card. Like the crocs were taken prisoner by the wolves. But they were actually the prisoners themselves because they needed to do everything for them.
Needed a lot of attention when he was in jail.
Yeah.
What's the John like it's called that episode was based on the imprisonment of Redmond. Oh, what's it called?
I don't know.
I think you had some sort of reference from that.
Oh, the obnoxious prisoner? I don't know. I don't
Well,
remember.
the idea that the prisoner is so obnoxious that the captive becomes like switch around.
Wasn't he ringing like a bell or something?
Yeah, he was. He actually was.
Yeah.
They had a bell and he was just ringing it whenever you needed something. Yeah. And then he showed it to the other crocs and they were like, "Oh my god, that's the best thing ever. I'm going to do that too."
Like the brilliance that you have war prisoners and you want to make sure that they're treated nicely, and then the war prisoners start to exploit that.
Yeah.
Super stupid and fun.
Oh, maybe Hogan's Heroes. I don't remember what the reference was. I think it was because we didn't want them. That was also a response to them the wolves could never be too mean. I don't know. One of the networks or someone was always complaining about the wolves being too mean, or so they had to sort of be nice when they had prisoners.
Well, that's a funny thing because they were pretending to be in the show. In the show, they were like, "I can't take it anymore," and then Wars was like, "Well, then we can just repair our vehicles, and we can destroy them." and then like he was basically like expressing it with a scissors, just cutting through a wire. That was pretty brutal, actually.
Yeah.
He was like, "Kill them all."
Yeah,
it was amazing.
I'm sorry, but there's just like I came back because there was like one very, very last thing that I wanted to share, and I swear. I always thought it was odd, like in the fire and ice waves, like how like all the old tribes they get new vehicles with the whole fiery theme, and the gorillas, their one vehicle is this small little trike thing.
Yeah.
They'd always been walkers, even the small polybag walker. I just felt like, no, they should always have feet. But then I found a way to make it work. So I modded mine to have a year one aesthetic. And here you go. So it's that build, but you see Grumlow, the chief, is driving it. And the whole idea is, oh, this is what guerrilla vehicles used to look like back in his day. They used to be wheeled, and then they became mechs. I even have a little banana there, partially powering this gun, a little Mr. Fusion. So I thought that would be a cute idea.
The banana fusion. The great mellow, powering everything.
So what I've gathered from this stream is that none of the products that I made need to be modified because they're so simple.
You could say that. Take it either. You have made some. You have given amazing work to the Chima community. So you're so great.
I think it's safe to say that John Delaney wrote the best episodes of Legends of Chima and the worst of it because he wrote everything. Praise and blame.
The Chima vehicles are. I sort of say those Chima vehicles, that era of LEGO, like 2013, 14, and so on, might be some of my favorite builds because that was when they started getting really layered and lots of studs on the side and not on top. But it was before they started getting really, really finicky with tons of 1x1 pieces. And I think like some LEGO sets nowadays might be something too complex or layered. But I feel like Chima, that era of LEGO was just the right balance. I think you're all those designs you made, very fun builds.
Makes me happy. Makes me happy. You talk about 1x1s. I also made Sonic the Hedgehog, which is pretty much built from 1x1 plates.
My fingers hurt by the end of that build, but it was worth it. It was very fun.
We kind of lost Sam along the way, but he's better now.
Corrupted.
Yeah. You have to leave him behind.
Still good. I love the Bandix and Igmazigmobile and all those. Anyway, good talking to you guys. This has been amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Actually, that's indeed another thing about the show. I think that like season 1 was my favorite season, but I always thought that season 1 got like the theme right. Like I think that the premise of season 1 was just insane. It was amazing. Like the wolf trilogy, where the wolves are taking over Chima, is amazing. But it didn't really stretch on for too long. And then in season 3, I mean, it still had a very good premise, but it got like right that it had like a season-long story, right? Like sort of. Like to me, it felt like season 3 was like a season with some filler, and then season 1 was like filler with some season. And like I love season 1. It's the best season in my opinion, but it felt like more filler than season. But I mean, it's so good. You guys really did a great job.
The aim at that beginning is just to give you a taste of everything, right? And
you did a great job.
As well.
That's true.
So I mean,
here's the weird thing, like that still blows my mind. While we are airing Ninjago episode 10, so that's in 2012. We're already writing Legends of Chima at that point.
Yes.
And we're up until episode around 10 at that point.
I know.
So 10 episodes of Ninjago are out. This is where we learn the identity of the Green Ninja. We've written 10 episodes of Legends of Chima. I am very, very soon to start on working on Nexo Knights. It's just insane to think about how this just truncates on top of each other. So we're at a Legends of Chima test, and we're getting numbers in from Ninjago, where it's like, holy crap, they just love this whole idea about the Green Ninja and how that has just generated playground talk. Because who is the Green Ninja? Who's the Green Ninja? They've been talking about that in school every week for the last 8 weeks or something like that. And we're out there testing season 2 or concepts for season 2 of Legends of Chima. So at that point, this is also where I'm saying, hey guys, we were told by networks that this whole model about serialized content doesn't work. They don't like that. They want their episodes one story, one story, one story, one story. So that was kind of what we were doing with Legends of Chima for the first 10 episodes. But when we get that data, I'm just saying like, no, now we're going to start serializing, because apparently it works very well for Ninjago. So that's also what you're seeing in the last 10 episodes of season 1 is, okay, now we really start building Cracker, Lavelle, development of their friendship, and it becomes much more serialized rather than like, here's a fun episode about that, and here's a fun episode about that. That doesn't mean we don't throw it in there once in a while, but we really appreciated the value of these stories where you have the growth of characters, you have the growth of themes, and it's something that we always wanted to do, but that was not the brief at the time. But then we kind of flip-flop on the brief because, hey, now we got data to steer us in another direction. And I really remember, like, I think we sort of feel a little vindicated and breath. We had a little fresh breath and say like, hey, this is actually what we wanted to do. I don't know if you remember this, John. I think you were at the test as well.
I mean, 10 years ago, I mean, now when you watch TV, everything is everything is planned to go on streaming at some point. So everything has a series arc, and there's a story that runs the whole season. But more than 10 years ago, you had to do one-off episodes. Every episode had to sort of end, so the linear networks could put them anywhere in their schedule, and they didn't have to worry about them matching up. Ninjago actually was like, an innovator in that. They were actually doing a little bit of both. There was a season arc and you could watch one episode and figure out what was happening. So they kind of opened up a lot of opportunities for us, and then subsequent seasons of Chima actually did have sort of stronger season-long arcs. I mean, there's a season-long arc in episode 1, but you don't have to see every episode to get it. It was intentionally built to be one-off, and that's just what networks wanted at the time, which is weird because now everything you see is like built one episode. It's a series. You have to watch every episode. So
yeah,
just how
I think my favorite season of Legends of Chima is season 1, not because of the structure, but because of the whole world building thing. It really pulls it together, and then when you get to that, that bonfire scene in episode 20, which is basically a deconstruction of religion, which I was like, oh, this is a masterpiece. I love this. Like, they all believe in the same thing, but they have their different interpretations of where they went about it. So that's why they've disagreed in the first place. But this is like, oh, there's a thing in the sky, and floats and it gives us what we need, which is these waterfalls and these chi. You know, they all come together about one thing, but you know, they have their different creation theories around it. It was like beautiful. That should just be in any. If you talk about religion, that's the scene to show everyone. Like, God damn it, you're so stupid. We all agree, basically. Now stop all this.
That's
And
actually a
then,
very good one.
oh, damn it, there's something below that. But that I think that's that's the beauty of season one, and then obviously we got into more like serialized stuff in season two, and still great. But I still think like the whole world building with the nature and all the forest thing in season one, it can't be beat.
It's a pretty big theme for a kids show when you think about it. You know, we did touch on some really sort of big themes in the context of this. You know, like deconstruct. We didn't pitch it as like we're going to deconstruct religion, but we kind of knew in the back of our heads that it was there. So.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Forgot about the bonfire scene.
Yeah, it's amazing. What about you guys? Shall we throw in one last person or something?
Sure, that would be great.
Let's do that. And here comes, how is it called? Gigenmeister? Sure. And here he is. Hello.
Hey, Gigenmeister. Cool name.
Hi.
German.
Hi there.
I don't know if you have a microphone.
I do.
Great.
All right, we hear you. We hear you fine.
I was like asking like a few questions about like the first episodes, like when the start with Eris, Gregor, and all that, like how like it instantly like showed how like Gregor's identity, but like later in that episode, like Laval like doesn't know. You don't know what I'm jumped about? I'm just like fumbling my words.
Yeah, which particular episode is this?
Like the first one.
Okay, yeah.
Very
What's
first
that like?
moment is when
Ren
Rose is captured, right?
Because when I knew that, because I know he like made the first storyboard for first episode, like. I'm sorry, I'm really able to fumble my words here.
Well, I'm guilty of that too, so don't worry about it.
Okay, here we go. When you were talking about the first episode, storyboard, was that like drawn like first, and then like the rest of the first episode was like drawn like after? Which is why like we had like Gregor's identity revealed twice.
No, you can maybe call us bad storytellers, but I think that's actually the way it was supposed to be. One thing that is interesting about the creation of the storyboards is they were created before we actually know if these were animals or they were humans in animal masks. I may be able to show the first storyboards at some point, but it's very evident that there was no design that was locked up at that time.
Right.
But no, basically what it is what it was supposed to be. Seeing the eagle crashing, revealing Krager, and he puts on his helmet. But yeah, seeing I actually get your point now, which I haven't done before. And having watched this episode like 50 times, like yeah, he puts on the helmet and then it's revealed later that it's Krager. Yeah, which is an identity reveal to Lavelle, but not to the audience because they already know. Hey, when we reproduce this thing, like we'll do better. But good point, actually. John, what's your defense?
When we do the movie.
I
When we do
mean,
the
that-
movie series.
That first episode has an unusual structure in that it starts out with Eris getting caught, and then there's a big battle. I wanted to open with this big scene and just immediately in the first minute tell the audience that this is like this epic thing with vehicles and everything, and then it flashes back to like whatever months ago, and then the flashback continues into the second episode, and then you get back to that battle you saw. It's a very odd structure, but so that might be why that reveal is happening. I'm not quite sure why, but that is a.
No, but it was the right thing to do because the show is called Legends of Chima. So, and it was a major headache on the production because all these things that are gonna be part of this later part of the season basically had to be in this first few episodes to show like this is the promise of how big and how awesome it's gonna be. So open up big and then go back into these smaller stories which are then very character driven, and then that opens up to the stuff that you've seen. Major headache and it's not how how production prefers these things to be made, because like okay, let's build a little at a time, but we wanted to go really big, and I think we pulled it off. But there were complications in these first few episodes. So we did have to go back and include some scenes that weren't originally there, that build up Cracker and Lavelle's relationship a little more, scale down some of the aggressiveness, I would say. I think I had something more wild in my mind when we were first writing it. But yeah, I like, ultimately I become very fond of what it is, and you lean into the decision you make, and then it's I think it hit the intention of what we really wanted to do here.
And we, that was got tested. I was a little worried personally about the structure, and they tested it, and kids loved it, so it responded really well to it. It's the amazing thing about it, Chima as a whole, is it's pretty complicated with all these tribes and all this mythology and all these stories. Kids always got it. They parents didn't. Parents would always ask me what the hell was going on, but the kids instantly got it and could recite it back to you. About each tribe and what the chi does and all these things.
Because kids are pay way more attention to shows like that. Parents just don't really care that much.
Well, if you look at Star Wars, I mean, just the first 3 movies, that's some complicated mythology to track everything. So, and people get it, when they're paying attention, especially kids. And any of the Pokemon or any of those things are even more complicated, I think.
Yeah.
Another question I have, about season 2, was there going to be more episodes, or was the short length that going to be it?
Season 2 with the Scorpions, or season 2 with the
season 2 with the Scorpions,
our orders were always sort of getting changed. So we would design big, long seasons, and sometimes we got the episodes, and sometimes we didn't. I mean, I think the Outlands episodes are supposed to be longer. They ended up being 6 episodes, and that was always kind of a challenge for me and Tommy on the storytelling end.
It felt
really. Did hear some of these episodes, brief summaries of the episodes of the Outlands?
I don't remember how long the Outlands originally was.
Yeah, I definitely like how the Outlands episodes turned out. I think that was
they're the best part of Chima, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you go to a different environment, you meet different things, and each episode was very targeted towards getting a legend beast. So I think that worked out rather well. I mean, I think the thing where I feel a little shortchanged was just at the end when we were to go and get the fire wings. That was supposed to be another 6-episode arc, and it turned into a 6-minute montage thing.
Yeah.
We would have loved some more things on that. Then I would have loved to do the movie and the third season. But I think ultimately we got to a pretty satisfying conclusion. So
It was pretty cool.
John, I also love that you can't tell the difference between which is season 2 and which is season 2 from the show that you wrote.
Yeah. No, but to be honest, I can defend that. LEGO itself didn't advertise it consistently. Sometimes they say, the ice season is season 2, and then they will go back and go say it's season 3. Like they didn't seem to know themselves either. So
we think in storylines, right? So the first 20 episodes is one storyline. Then the next 6 episodes is one storyline, but that probably doesn't qualify for a season.
Yeah.
Then there's another, 14 episodes, and then there's one episode at the end, and then there's always these shorts that's sitting on top of everything. So
those shorts. I would join them back then.
But those were, John was too busy to write them, so I wrote them. So, that was our blessing and our curse back then, because we were such a small operation. Like 3 guys in the story room, then we're talking to Sam and his team and those designers. Like we're trying to figure everything out. But then John is writing episodes, and then we get hey, we need 20 short films. Well, I guess. Who are you gonna brief on this stuff? Who's gonna read 400 pages of lore and character things to write these little things?
Episode.
Yeah. I did those.
Those are good.
Got to do some right. Got to do it yourself.
It's a very, very gung-ho process. Once in a while, I sent it to John for notes, "Hey, I wrote these things. What do you think of them?" And I got notes back, and then I implemented the notes. Sometimes I guess damn it! Now you're just being too critical. I'm just gonna ignore you from now on. It was a reverse process, because I'm pretty critical with my notes, so I would get those to John on the episodes. But then when I got notes back on the short films, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? It's just dumb fun, man.
Fair enough.
And I don't know if you've ever seen any of my notes, John. They probably weren't ever sent to you, but I would just read the script, and when it says Laval picks up his weapon or something like that, I would write, "Remember, it's the gold sword. Remember, it's in his right hand." And then I would send that over to the team, right? And so all my notes are remember that it has to be this weapon, and they hold it in this hand, or it goes on the back. And so all my notes are just that over and over again.
We got down to the point where these weapons had names, right? It was
The
the
Royal
Black
Valius.
Valorious and
Valius, yes.
Yeah,
You have the Fangius, the Valius. I know too much about Chima. I hate my life.
All the ones on the cards, I wrote those names.
Yeah, there are so many weapons. I mean, I know about the Fangius and the Valius, that kind of stuff, but I'm even I am not crazy enough to learn all the weapons that are written on the cards. I have a limit. I can only go so far.
I remember one time I was naming all the ice weapons one time for those cards, and I thought it would be cool to have an ice pick, right? It's way cooler to make the look cooler in a word, right? So I spelt it ice pick, so it was P-I-K, and I got turned down by every Danish person. It's like, you cannot put this on a children's toy.
Yeah.
I'll let you Google that yourself.
Yeah, in the Netherlands that would happen too. That's not really something that most toy companies would accept. Let's just say that.
It's got a pretty crazy translation. So, but
Yeah.
there was I have to go now. But I wanted to end
Yeah.
on before I leave. I wanted to just have something I have to get off my chest to these two guys here. So when you remember there was the comic books from Blue Ocean, based in Germany, right? And they were
Yes.
translated to English. Those comic books around the time of season 2, but not that season 2, the other season 2 with with the Scorpions, right?
Yeah.
So when those stories are being written, there's a story about Shadowwind capturing Laval in a cage, which is based on there's the Speedos set and then there's Shadowwind's hideout set, which is pretty amazing Lego set, I think.
Yeah, I own it. It's amazing.
And so I read the scripts for it and the storyboard, and I'm like, this is great. Forgetting that these comic books are everything in it in the artwork side is based on the toy, and not based on the TV show. And I forgot that we never made the helmet for Shadowwind.
Oh.
And
the helmet that
so
hides his
in the
identity?
story,
It was in the show.
in the story, they have Laval trapped in a cage, standing face to face with his own uncle, right? And not knowing. And so I was just like, you need to change it. And the response was, sorry, we've already drawn it. It's already been inked. And so the only solution was, well, can you put like a shadow over his face?
Wow.
And they put him in like a little bit of shadow. And so I apologize for that.
Damn it, Sam. I may have. That was such a cool helmet too, with the little tusk.
Yeah,
and the mohawk.
it was especially because we spent so much effort on it. You did a drawing, and then I had to correct all the stuff for the TV show to make it look better. And I sent them all these notes, and then I get this comic book, and it's not even in it. Yeah, that was my.
I'll go over to my shelf right after this and find that comic book, and I'm gonna
tear
it apart, Sam.
I'll post it on my
Find you like, but damn it, Sam, I hate you now.
It was supposed to be as good as the Green Ninja, and I ruined it.
That would be very sad. It actually, I actually talking about like the season like 2. I really like how smoothly it's like transitions, because you basically have Shadowwind and the black clouds still already appearing in season 1. That's amazing. Especially like evil doesn't wait until like your adventure is over. Evil just does its own thing, right? And I think that's it just makes sense, and I think that's amazing.
It's almost like someone knew what they were doing.
Yeah, you wouldn't say, but you know, I expected like some randos to work on this project, but no, okay, sorry. You guys did an amazing job. I cannot say otherwise.
I'm gonna head out now, but thanks very much.
That's okay.
That was great fun.
I'm probably gonna head out too.
Me too.
Yeah.
This is fun. I mean, anytime you want to do it again, let me know.
I will let you know, because I enjoy it very much, and everyone does.
I mean,
It's
I
amazing.
think what we could do is like maybe I'll dig into my archives and see what I have that is new information. Maybe some of the stuff that was planned for season 3. Maybe we can even reveal that script that we never did.
Yeah,
and we could do another Q&A at some point.
We could do like another 7 days of Chima, like you did that time. That would be cool.
Well, the more people that are into Chima, maybe, and excited about it, maybe somehow it gets revived in some form. I know it's not, LEGO traditionally doesn't bring back their things, but who knows?
Yeah.
It's big enough and popular enough.
I am such a Chima nerd that I may or may not once in a while look at the legal copyright licenses of Chima, and they were actually reinstating those.
Oh, well.
I have a problem. Please help me. So yeah.
Well, I don't know anything. I'm sure John doesn't know anything, but Sam he's a wild card. He may know everything.
But James
Hunt him
Cameron, if
down.
you're on the stream, just remember us. You can have the rights. Cut us in.
Yeah, you there was actually, funnily enough, there was a period, like of not too long of a period, but there was a period where one of the licenses, like one of the copyright licenses of LEGO's Chima, was expired and not yet accepted to be renewed. Like LEGO definitely proposed them because if you have like an account, you can kind of access those applications. And they did hand them in, and they did want to renew the copyright and all the licenses, but they weren't yet accepted. So there was a time where you could actually legally just copy Chima, and you would totally get away with it. It's amazing.
Wow.
100 years after something's been written, it becomes public domain, right? So
yes,
that time will come.
I will be there. That's a lie, but I will just rise out of the grave and I will be there. Mark my words. I will be the first undead person in the world. That will be amazing.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for doing this. I'm not sure any of us would be aware that this is the 10th anniversary of Legends of Chima, unless you had done this. It's much easier with Ninjago, where you have a team that's like. There's not currently that at LEGO on Legends of Chima, but we're the old god, and we love what we did, and we love that you still love it.
I certainly do, and we all love it. There are a lot of people that actually love it, and even though I'm a small channel, there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that have probably like 50,000 people that watch my videos, even though I'm a small channel. So there are still people that love it. And I am one of them. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for that. Thank you for what you made. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For Chima.
For Chima, definitely.
We will, no sooner, we will see each other in 10 years from now.
I'll mark my words. I'll
put it in the calendar.
Goodbye. Have a nice day.
Bye.
And that, people, was the stream. So I guys hope you have an amazing day and goodbye.